Warning, this podcast has some swears in it.
I'd rate it PG-13 at most, but let's just be on the safe side and say viewer discretion is advised.
I don't know about you all, but I'm just gonna crack this open now. There we go. A toast to our lovely guest this episode, and a toast to our listeners, because we're gonna be here for like at least 3 hours at this point, where there's no avoiding it. We're just here.
Relax.
Time to raise your blades, heroes.
And check some vibes.
It's the Heroes Blade Vibe Check.
Monster Hunter Wilds has been having all these trailers lately.
Yeah, it has.
Very excited about that, especially because our recent Monster Hunter conversations has resulted in Quinn being like, I would like to express the intent to hunt monsters with friends. And we said...
So here's the deal. I have been seeing people talk about Monster Hunter on the internet for a bit because those trailers released. The homegirl PG Pop cosplay putting together a cosplay of the new girl from Monster Hunter.
Who may not be actually a new girl, but we'll go with that's not
important.
That sounds like
not
lore,
another
which
day.
is a thing that is... I don't know about that yet.
But the lore, Quinn, the lore.
Sure. Anyway, there's, I heard people talking about it, and I was like, you know what, I liked to play Monster Hunter, but I didn't have any, incentive to stick with it, so I haven't seen any of the cool monsters, at least hadn't back then, and so I hopped in the chat with some known monster hunters and was like, hello, I would like to express my formal intent to hunt monster, and gamers, they all hopped in the chat, and they were like, you've got my bow gun, and my switch axe, and my greatsword.
And my gun lance.
Yeah, and Cole's gun lance, this nerd.
Yep. So we've been busy doing that recently. That's been pretty fun.
I simply want to carry a pair of 4 dual blades.
Yeah, the fact that you
blades.
Yeah, so your new monster that is not a dog this time that carries you around the map will allow you to swap out one of your weapons for another weapon in the bag. And everyone's like, oh, so 2 charge blades. Excellent. I would love this. And it's like, all right. I mean, yeah, fair enough.
4 knives, Cole. 1 for each limb.
Listen, if you're hunting multiple monsters, you're like, man, these dual blades suck for this other monster. It's a good thing I got another pair of elementally advantageous blades in here.
What's the one elder dragon that swaps between fire and ice? Was a big problem in Iceborne for people.
Was it in Iceborne? I don't remember any of them swapping between 2 elements. I thought that was
one of the last raid bosses. It shows how dedicated I've played Rise and Sunbreak. That's Sunbreak?
Okay. Hey,
yeah,
no,
right, that's all I played.
Rise and Sunbreak's where you want to be. I definitely don't remember one that swapped between both, but I could be proven wrong. Anyway,
last game. Anyway,
Monster Hunter hype. Let's go. But
Monster Hunter hype, indeed.
I'm gonna kill a bunch of Anjanath in the...
I love hunting Anjanath. He's a big, goofy, fire-breathing T-Rex.
Yeah.
Go for his ankles.
What's not to love? To those who haven't figured it out yet, Lyght, aka ThePhiRexian, is joining us today. Lyght, what's good?
What's good? Chocolate chip cookies.
Ah, damn you. Now I want some.
I made some tonight. I was watching a TikTok video earlier, and somebody was doing a baking video that I randomly stumbled on, and he threw some blue color food dye in the wet ingredients of the mix while he was doing it, and I realized I suddenly had an epiphany. If I want pink cookies, I can just do that. I'm an adult, and so I did.
It's on brand. Honestly, I'm surprised we didn't start this call and start with you wearing some kind of pink heart-shaped sunglasses already, which I imagine they're not that far away anyway.
Oh, they keep that thing on them.
They are actually where they're supposed to be with my other glasses. They're usually right here because I wear them when I'm streaming. But uniquely they aren't. I went to an LGS last weekend, and I wore them there, and so they ended up back in the bedroom where they're intended to be.
So what I'm hearing is you're slipping. Got it.
I have a pair of weird purple fungus glasses if you want me to wear those.
I mean, no one's going to be seeing this but us anyway, but what the fungus? Oh, yeah, those are mushrooms. Okay, yeah, I'm like...
Oh, hell yeah, those
yeah, hey, everyone, just remember, every 3 episodes we got a guest. Light's joining us for this one, so lock the fuck in.
Hell yeah.
But before anything truly gets started, I have to thank people who reached out to us through Spotify when some people, Brayden, actually updated their Spotify and realized there was a new revised comment section, so this was great. But we're gonna go back on episode to episode 19 from Agent Washington, who says, "Well, literally predicting the future with your bits. I'm the future commander player. Lol, Amal, remember Future Sight?" And then Watsy immediately spoiling the Future Sight frames in Mystery Booster 2.
Extremely funny timing. Everyone seems to have a mixed opinion. One of the things that I like about the use of Future Sight frames with newer cards, but with old artwork that has been used for those characters before in, like, the 90s, is that, like, yeah, within the context of this frame, if we pretended that these cards were printed, like, a decade or even 20 years ago, those would be the Future Sights of Magic design. It's just this kind of a neat little retro kind of throwback by kind of putting all these pieces together. For, like, Gix, for example. It's also extremely important and meaningful to me that I get a Future Sight frame. Future Sight.
Mm-hmm. Actually, yeah, that would be kind of sick. All right, we got to manifest that. All right, so any WotC employee who hears this, hit Gavin up.
No, that's the thing. It's in the set. So, like,
it is?
I just need to get my
Okay.
hands on one.
Okay,
getting those mystery
understand.
booster cards is going to be a bit of an adventure. I got in on the Festival in a Box because I feel like that product would be fun to maybe open with friends if I can put that together. And if not, then, well, it'll be a really good time still.
We have a message here for sorry, Light, you were gonna...
I was just gonna go on the record and say there's at least one hater in chat tonight. I don't like the Future Sight frame.
That's fine. I'm pretty sure everyone shared their opinion. My opinion about Mystery Booster in general is just like, whatever.
Yeah, I think that's about where I'm at with the intensity.
And I do like the Future Sight frame on the original cards that it was meant to be printed on. Like, what is it, Spellweaver Volute or whatever?
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
Like, it works, and now it's like, you know what, like, again, like, it's not for me, like, the white border thing, not for me, won't survive the winter, I get it, but...
It really won't.
The modern frame with the white border is just really off to me, but that's just me. So, that was from episode 19. We called it, which was hilarious. This message for episode 20 onward is from Andy from the Legendary Creature Podcast. Currently came back from the mountain seclusion he was at. Message goes, tap, tap, tap. Is this thing working? Ahem, hello. I'm out here in exile listening to my new favorite Commander podcast. Yes! And I'm using my Sanctuary Blade to cut through the fabric of space-time to say, hi, and great episode. Anyway, question for you all. Sharoom the Hegemon came up. We know it's half a combo piece of the zone, but can we all work on a deck list together? That isn't, and it's just, Esper Reanimator, Esper Artifact, Reanimation ETB. Can it work? It's such a cool, old school commander. And,
Andy, my darling, my sweet, I have a deck list for you.
Yeah, we went in the lab and we're working on a prototype list of that. Also have a very similar deck list in the form of my Glacian and Ravos Twisted Metal, but Geiger, not Car Violence deck. And it just does it's basically a Shroom deck without Shroom in the command zone. She's in the 99. And if I swap that, then it's exactly what we're looking for. But I also, she's got a really big mana value is the thing. And I'd make a lot of mana if you sacrificed it to Burnt Offering or Soldevi Adnate or Illuminor Xeris or, well, not Burnt Offering because that's the wrong colors, but Sacrifice, you know the one.
We did go over that the last time, but yeah.
So I'm just what if we just play scam cards and rituals like those and sacrifice Shroom to them and return Shroom to the battlefield and reanimate artifacts like that? Just a completely different approach to the Esper artifact reanimator than I already had. And so that's in a test tube bubbling, and maybe we'll see that in a couple weeks.
Yeah, but, Andy, you're an architect guy, and we're Moxfield people, so, we gotta meet somewhere in the middle, But yeah, thank you, Andy, for listening.
Thanks for reaching out.
Quinn, how about you get the last two of these here?
Yeah, up next we've got Braden, who says, I'm so here in these Spotify comments at last. Amazing episode as always. You both do such a wonderful job of keeping me smiling and entertained. Makes it so easy to finish out the work week despite when the window washing job involves such summer heat. Finally have enough characters to say that. Quick question for y'all. For the sake of engagement, with Bloomborough here and being amazing, what is your favorite MTG bird? Don't say Baleful Strix. We all know that's the easy answer.
I mean, you're right, but come on. It's Nadu, obviously.
Bro, what?
Nah, that's a lie. It's actually the catbird token from Ikoria.
Oh, yeah, I like that little guy with the, I think Skycat Sovereign makes those.
Yeah, the one that Skycat Sovereign makes. It's a cute little, orange tabby with wings descending on probably prey, I imagine. But that thing is freaking adorable. Yeah, my birds are a little all over the place. Do you have any favorite birds that are actually dinosaurs?
Well, yes. So I'm big on Maha right now, but I think Akeem is actually my favorite. Akeem is the 6-mana Jeskai bird dinosaur from the Ikoria commander decks that makes bird tokens and gives your creatures double strike.
Yeah, isn't it you pay 6?
Yeah, you pay 5 mana for a 3/5, and then you pay 6 to give all of your little 1/1s double strike.
But if you're playing that deck the way that Akeem wants you to, you probably have more than one Glorious Anthem effect. You've probably got your War Leader's Call, even now that they made Glorious Anthem and Impact Tremors hold hands. And you've probably got I don't know, a stack of those effects, and then you push that double strike button, and you're fucking killing people. It's appropriately costed.
You're probably right.
Worst case,
or you could do what I'm doing right now: is play mutate cards in it to mutate onto your little birds, and then Jeskai's great populate colors.
Yep, that's true.
Populate little mutate stacks.
I mean, would you consider putting Training Grounds or Zerda in that type of deck?
Oh, probably.
Yeah, you can put those in the 99 easy. That's the right colors.
What is the 6-mana instant speed Jeskai card that gives your board double strike and flying?
Bro, Flying Crane Technique. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, it's 1 part Flying Crane Technique on a body in the command zone. That's
man, I want to cast that card again. That's in my 4-color Pirates deck, actually. I should play that.
I'm trying to think if I have that in my Jeskai Dragons deck, but I probably don't. But I probably should.
A lot of people are sleeping on big, expensive Jeskai spells. I was thinking about
it's
the
flying in double strike.
Ikoria.
Come on. Sorry, what was that, Quinn?
I was thinking about the Jeskai Ultimatum from Ikoria. The Inspired Ultimatum.
Oh, Inspired Ultimatum is so good.
Yeah, I was tweeting about that the other day. I'm gonna put my deck slots where my mouth is or whatever, and see how that plays in a deck.
Well, isn't that inverse Cruel Ultimatum, basically?
When you think about it,
if
and
you
squint, yeah, it is kind of the inverse Cruel Ultimatum.
You gain 5, you draw 3, and you...
You draw 5.
You draw
you draw 5.
It's all 5s.
Oh, okay,
I'm
great,
just like-
fantastic, love that.
At what point in the, like, if you're at 7 mana, the amount of mana that it costs to cast that, you're facing down this Jeskai deck who's also on 7 mana, and they cast an Inspired Ultimatum. Tell me you're not heated. You don't want to see them draw 5, burn your thing for 5, and gain 5 life.
Yeah, like, I don't know, where I've been so shocked by some games the last little bit of just seeing the weirdest stuff show up where I'm like, I can't even be mad about the result because I have not seen this card be played before. And if I saw someone playing Inspired Ultimatum, like, I'd be losing my mind. It'd be so cool.
I really think that that's appropriate for Jeskai decks. It's what they want to be doing. Take a look at it, gamers.
Remember, gamers, 1 mana is approximately worth 1 damage or 1 mana return worth of stuff, 1 card.
Yeah.
And if you're paying, what is it, 7 mana, 8 mana for an ultimatum?
7 mana.
7 mana, and you're getting 15-ish mana worth of stuff.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's a good spell.
Yo, put that under Surge to Victory.
Okay, alright, whoa. Let's calm down. Let's relax here, alright? Jeez.
Arcane bombardment in the house.
Let's
Okay.
fucking go. These
We're
are the things
cooking.
that we need to be doing with this spell. You can, what's that? Mnemonic Deluge, exile it, and then triple cast it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Let's go. Spells Reanimator.
So, what would the commander be for that?
Narset.
Oh,
New
okay.
Narset.
Okay, yeah, you would. Yeah. I mean, also giving your board prowess, then casting that? Yeah, I mean, like, come on.
Oh, yeah. Easy. GG's.
But yeah, we went way off track about favorite bird. But Akoria's got some cool birds, you know? So,
For
got
the
some weird
record,
birds.
my favorite bird is probably Dragonhawk Fate's Tempest.
Hell yeah.
I just recently met her, and I would do anything for her now.
Yeah, I saw her once last weekend, and she dealt 16 damage to the table in totality.
oh my god.
I'm just like, do I really
her
want to
lifetime?
cast these spells? I think I'll just leave 3 cards in exile and 6 the table. I think that's fine, actually.
Sorry,
That
I said
is-
16 as if it wasn't 16 to each player. There we go.
Oh, jeez. Yeah,
It's fucking bananas.
everyone's like, I don't know, this is a standard constructed playable dragon, and meanwhile, every one of us who believe is like, but what about commander, though?
I am always interested in whatever standard constructed playable dragon they print. They're all good. Sorry.
Yeah.
Always good.
Yeah, Braden, thank you for finally updating your spell table, Spotify, so you could comment. That was very funny back and forth on Twitter, being like, yeah, comments are updated, and Braden's like, what? Oh, update. Got it. You're like, okay. And then we got one more comment.
Yeah, Claire says, goes to Doctor Who or Fallout mention board and adds +2. Hashtag always be Doctor Who and Fallout posting. Thank you, Claire. You understand.
Correct.
To answer question, I did have 2 Commander soft bans. First was when I was being dumpstered, so I did my first big looking up deck list research and found Selvala, Heart of the Wilds decks. Removed the expensive cards, so assumed fair. It was not after like 3 to 4 wins in a row that gently a hand on the shoulder made me retire it. The second was Marin of Clan Toth. Precon was OP on release for the playgroup back in the day. Not as much anymore. Yeah, I feel like anytime you can set up a like repeated use of Fleshbag Marauder or Spore Frog or something like that, it's gonna just really just rip through everybody's board states and ability to play the game.
It is very funny how Marin has slipped out of kind of that notoriety over the years. Like, that is power creep being seen every year through Magic,
I
where
don't
we're like,
think she's slipped out of that notoriety. She's
just don't
absolutely
s- I
still
don't
kill on
see
sight
her.
anytime
I
I
don't
play
see
her
her
in the
anymore.
99. But yeah, you never see her in the
think-
command zone because people are, they're not trying to do that to their friends anymore.
Yeah, that. I think that she also just has more. There's other Golgari commanders that are walking shoulder length with her. You know,
Oh, true enough.
I think she's still just as good as some of the best options. There are just more of them, and recency bias is always going to be a thing. And we continue to have increasing velocity of recency with these set releases.
Also, I do find it funny that it's like both of the commanders mentioned in this is like Selvala and Marin, and it's like, yeah, with Selvala, yeah, I can understand why eventually like you'll need to like call it because
She's a really strong Magic the Gathering card. I get it.
Yeah, wow, how times have changed. We have to deal with Indominus Rex.
Wow, you want to start? We're still several blocks away from me and Dominus.
Oh, I know, but we'll get there anyway. We'll get there eventually. So, as usual, everyone, thank you for commenting and engaging. It's greatly appreciated. As usual, maybe, I don't know. I mean, comment on YouTube or comment on Spotify, and our unknown social media manager has made an Instagram now. So we'll slowly get that updated over time with like episode cover arts and stuff.
Yeah, shout out to our social media manager. He does a great job, and we really appreciate his efforts.
I'll pass that along. So it's soapbox time. I got nothing to say.
I got a bit of a soapbox I want to get on, but like, hang on, I gotta turn on the thing and then BRB. Just a sec.
Turn on the thing. What?
I have any number of assumptions of what this could be.
I'm super curious. Just we're supposed to. How do I stall? Do I just cut this part out? I don't even know.
This is the part of the podcast that Cole has to cut out.
No, it's not. I've only had to do that like on occasion, but like this was unique. Or there's like, oh, I understand. Okay, hey, okay. Video turned on. All right, I understand.
We need the body language.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
exactly.
Hit us with it. Go.
All right, so here's the fucking deal. Every time I bring this shit up, Cole's like, oh, it's the same thing. And I'm just like, my guy, can you please engage with what I'm actually saying here? And what I'm saying that gamers, you have to, if I'm telling you that you have to have a way to turn off life gain, it's not the same thing as saying just run more removal. And by my reasoning for this is that you can't be like, the thing doesn't exist in my deck at all, ever. Like, you have to be doing your due diligence. Like, put that one card in the deck, and then you can complain about, like, that or whatever. But, like, if you're not
some
even
of those
engaging
cards
with that
just don't
at
work.
all, ever,
They don't
Not
work
your
in my deck.
soapbox, Cole.
Okay, well, fair enough.
like, you have to fucking try first.
Okay. The reason
You don't get to complain for not showing up to work.
We're gonna
Thank
go.
you.
Okay, listen. We will get to the reason why this soapbox is existing.
Yeah?
It's super.
Does it make you look good?
No, it doesn't. It also doesn't make Quinn look good, but we'll go over that later.
I hardly believe that possible.
I mean, you'd have to be there. But thank you, Quinn,
I'm
for
just
your.
saying, if you're the aggro or burn deck, and you're tired of getting bodied by life gain, you can try putting precisely one card in your deck that says your opponents can't gain life, and maybe
was I
that
gonna
swings the difference for you. But you have to,
Play
like...
your Erebos God of the Dead.
You
Play
have
your
to try.
Rampaging Ferocidon.
Okay, hold on a minute. Anyway, we'll get back to this. Okay, all right, we'll swing back around. It's in the minutes. Light, your soapbox time.
My soapbox.
You know, like the I gave you the title that you put in your Twitter description.
Chat, what you need to know before I step onto this box are three things. My favorite thing to do in EDH is pull off a trick shot. I like to do something fancy. I like nuance. I like to style on people. The second thing is that I proxy often. I do this because deck building is my favorite part of playing Magic the Gathering. I do it often, and I tinker with my decks often. It's not often that a deck survives to like a third playtest. It doesn't make sense for me to buy every single card that I want to put in a Magic the Gathering deck. it would not be financially responsible to do so.
I don't know what
So-
you're talking about. I think it's a sound decision.
So what I do
No,
is
hold on, let them cook.
I buy sleeves and deck boxes from local game stores, and then I go to the library and I spend $3 to proxy out a deck on a few pages that I put in front of some basic lands. And if I like the deck, then I keep it and I start slowly inserting real cards in place of the proxies. But it's not something that I prioritize. It's like, yeah, I can have an old Gnawbone this month as a treat, you know? Or if somebody has a trade for something to fill in, etc. The third thing is that these following are my opinions. I'm giving you explicit permission not to agree with me. You have a pass. I hate Sol Ring Command Tower and Arcane Signet more than most Magic cards in this fucking game.
Let's fucking go. All right. Tell me about it.
All right, we're gonna go in scaling order. So we're gonna go from the one that I like the most to the one that I like the least, and it's because I actually play Command Tower of my own volition in 2 decks. Command Tower does nothing. Command Tower meets the requirement of being a land that taps for mana. Basic lands also do this, but you can tutor for basic lands and put them on the battlefield. You can tutor for dual type lands and put them on the battlefield. Some of those even surveil, or they cycle. Some lands let you do, not that you do both, but the triomes are cycling lands that you can tutor for. Some lands have removal. Some lands let you give haste to your creatures. Some of them gain life. Some of them let you thin your deck and gain life. Command Tower does the barest minimum when there are cards in the world that exist like, I don't even know, the tap lands that gain you 1 life. If you're playing a 3-color deck even, which is what most of my decks are, you don't need Command Tower to hit your colors on a budget. And as a slight backpedal, I budget, or rather I proxy, and so I don't consider budget most of the time when I'm building my decks. So the answer of these cards are budget-friendly options, that's great. It has no personal value to me in my decision making. The baseline of this makes a mana reliably is not good enough to actually consider for me for putting into a deck when there is so much more room in a mana base to do something cool or interesting or utility niche. We can move on. I will acknowledge that the one thing the Command Tower does is it is on the card text of Tower Winder, which is a 1/1 with Reach and Death Touch that you can use to tutor your Command Tower. I play it in 1 deck in Indominus because it's a good creature to discard to Indominus.
Yep, sounds good. I was just
Arcane-
there's gonna be somebody in the comments who's gonna hit you with the, actually, you can tutor for Command Tower with Tower Winder. Already handled.
Hey, we've been there, done that. Should have, yeah.
The second deck, I play Command Tower in Blue and Owen because I wanted to play the Jurassic Park printing in the deck that has more dinosaurs. Whatever.
Okay, all right.
Arcane
Yeah,
Signet.
sounds good.
Arcane Signet suffers from all of the same problems of Command Tower in that I find it deeply boring, except that it is a mana rock and has no Tower Winder. I find mana rocks to be much less valuable than lands as mana sources, the same way I find mana dorks because they are vulnerable because nobody goes after your lands, and that's... I don't know what to say about that. That hasn't been said before.
I agree with that. I do agree with that take, despite the fact that I am an avid user of, signets.
So, I think that Arcane Signet is boring and it dies to Vandal Blast. Nothing more to say.
Fair enough.
The only that is the thing. I would rather prefer to find ways to put more than 1 land into play because of that social taboo of mass land destruction. But if I obviously put out too many utility lands and someone's get a strip mine or something, I'll be like, okay, you know what? That's fair. Get rid of the thing that's causing problems.
There are so many cool things you can do with lands. Do you know what the card Cosmic Intervention does?
Yes.
Chat?
I know.
God.
It is so fucked with
This
fetch
card is
lands.
so good. I got to rip Colony Heart with 2 fetch lands over this past weekend, and I'll tell you what, Magic the Gathering is a lot different when you power out 16 lands by turn 5.
Okay, all right. Let's calm down here.
I think I saw you do
so-
that one game, and then I think Eliana like immediately destroyed all lands, and then immediately you're like the green deck, so you get right back in the game.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that is what happens.
So Eliana was doing the right thing. It just didn't matter.
It doesn't fucking matter. You have to. I don't know what you need to do against the green deck besides like play the fucking spell that bounces lands if you play more than one land. You know the one.
Start by buying an aluminum baseball bat at Walmart.
All right, well, that's a good start. You take them out at the knees, and then they'll change their ways, obviously.
Confounding Conundrum. That's the one.
Oh, right.
There we go.
No, hold on. I immediately thinking of the Hermit Druid being like, no, please, allow me to
Make me
bounce my
replay
land
lands."
back to him.
That's a different problem. If you're trying to like handle landfall triggers, then Confounding Conundrum is actively bad against that. But if
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
trying to
in the
answer
most
the
part.
ramp problem, then yeah, Confounding Conundrum does what you're looking for mostly.
Yeah.
You can play bounce lands with burgeoning and exploration. Chat, you don't need mana rocks. That's all I want to
Yeah,
say.
no, yeah.
Okay,
Soul
I have
Ring.
those.
Soul Ring is boring and unfortunately very powerful. And it also dies to Vandal Blast. And for the last number of months since the last Craters for Change event, I've been playing Soul Ring in all of my commander decks. And the only thing it has done is deepen my hatred for the damn card. The phrase, "I promise my deck doesn't usually do this," comes to mind. And gamers, I don't know how many of those I can take before losing my mind when you turn one Soul Ringed.
Oh, I saw so
think you
many
lose
this
the
the other
right-
weekend.
You lose the right to make that excuse when you drop the turn one Soul Ring.
100%. My deck doesn't usually do this. My child, my sibling, and cardboard, you untapped with 4 mana on turn 2. Like, what do you think was going to happen?
What did you think was going to happen? God. And I got to experience this several times. I have done the turn one Soul Ring thing several times. It's happened on stream. People have been amused when it happens. Like, haha, Lyght, say the thing.
Say the line, Light. Say the line.
I have been playing Soul Ring to the maximum efficiency when I have it available. And what it has reminded me of is that Soul Ring is a card that warps games when you cast it inside the first 2 turns of EDH. So here's the thing. You can say things like, "I promise my deck doesn't normally do this," but the format does normally do this when everyone plays Soul Ring in their deck. A starting hand of Magic of the Gathering cards is 7. On your first turn, you draw into your 8th, and on your second turn, which is when I believe the cutoff is for Soul Ring dramatically impacting a game, that's 9 cards. Out of the 99 cards in a normal EDH deck, that is 10% of your deck. 4 players holding 10% of their deck with generally friendly mulligans, which I'm not going to point at mulliganing and being generous with mulligans and say that's the problem.
Oh, I mean, look, I've said
encourage
around
it. It's
partial Paris. I know what's
right.
up.
This is a board game, you know? But when we've got the potential of 4 players all mulliganing at least once, and Soul Ring makes hands look better than they actually are.
Every time.
so
Everyone's like,
true.
I got the one land. It's like, don't you fucking do it. Put that shit back. Don't even think about it.
It's only 1 card out of your 99, but the reason that it feels like someone always has the Soul Ring is because statistically, someone does have the Soul Ring.
Yeah, 400 cards between at least 4 people or 3 people. Someone's gonna have it. I saw it several times last Thursday when I went to a buddy's bachelor party. Like, we were playing Magic that night, and it was like, I turn over and I handed my deck out to the bachelor groom to be in question. He's like, Soul Ring, Talisman, pass. And I was like, really? I mean, you're allowed to, you're allowed to do that. But, what, really? But yeah, no, it's fucked. It's absolutely fucked.
And I think the biggest offense for me is that Soul Ring, it's the thing about like the starting hands, right? And land count. Soul Ring encourages you it's a lowercase, it's a little whisper, but it encourages you to build your deck less responsibly, and it encourages you to take hands that are less responsible. Greedy Keeps 2024, please stop. The election's in a few months. If a candidate says Greedy Keeps, I'm going to stop Greedy Keeps in my candidacy, then they'll have my vote.
Okay, so if JD Vance says it,
No, obviously not.
Throwing tomatoes at you, Cole. No, my platform that I'm running on is a chicken in every pot, and No Greedy Keeps 2024.
Okay, I'm a little confused over the first one, but all right.
It's extremely
all right.
funny
You
for the
can-
history nerds in class. Anyway,
But yeah.
So
let's get into
I
these
think
fucking...
that's the
So hey, Light, how many more weeks till you have to remove Soul Ring from your deck?
So I've been telling people that it's on the 9th of September that I get to take it out of my decks. I realized that I fucked up my math, and I've given everyone an extra month of my life to Soul Ring than I should have. It's been almost 4 months.
Oh, no.
But I'm committing to the September 9th because...
Okay.
Whatever, that's what I've been telling people is the date. So
Yeah,
I'm
that's fair.
extra convinced. I've had an extra month
So
where I
hold on.
played a bunch
Well,
of extra games.
A quarter of the year versus a third of the year is a bit of a major difference here in this
I'm
case.
truly so impressed at you just reaffirming how deeply of a hater of this card that you are by actively spending time with it and being like, yeah, no, this shit
This
sucks. I don't
is-
want it.
This is how I feel like different tweets that I'd seen are converging here into one. The Benoit,
Benoit,
the
yeah.
Benoit said recently that he's like, I watched something just to reconfirm that I still hate this piece of media or whatever, because I have to be a responsible hater and continuously question my biases from before. And he's like, nah, this was still terrible though. And you're like, okay, yeah.
Big respect.
So there's that aspect of this. And then recently, Cody from Brew Review, who, hey, just new episode just came out. Go check that out. He even said, I'm going to take Soul Rings out of my decks. To which, of course, Mr. Fissy Fits, hands on shoulder, is like, but it's a feature. So why are
It's
you
a bad feature. It's not
bad-
a bug, but it's a bad feature.
And this is where kind of everyone's opinions are so interesting to think about, where it's you, on a one hand, your experience could theoretically be way worse because you yourself do not have access to a Soul Ring under your own deck's limitations outside of taking them from other people. But other people will have a leg up in some way, shape, or form by having access to that type of resource if they're not already playing something that's similar in mana generation versus mana value. But not Soul Talisman though. We wait for that shit.
We love Soul Talisman.
In this household, on this podcast, we love Soul Talisman, which was my suggestion to Cody, where I'm like, look, if you are looking Soul Ring in the eye, and it is telling you to play it on turn 1 or turn 2, you have already fallen for the bait, and you will hear the siren song and do it. But if you play Soul Talisman, you are under obligation by the rules that you have to wait 2 or 3 turns to eventually get it, And the later that happens, the worse it feels. But you'd probably still put the 1 mana into it anyway on turn 2 or turn 3, because it's Soul Talisman. If you're not going to get it turn 1, you can at least get it turn 3 through 5,
I like
And
a Soul Talisman.
a quick reality check, gamers. If budget is something you consider, if proxying is not an option just because you don't want to or because you can't, and budget is a real restriction, play the goddamn Soul Ring. No one except me is going to say anything, and even I don't actually care.
Yeah. It's as again, with most things about the podcast, is that I will complain to high heaven about numerous bullshit that I've seen, despite being also equally as guilty of doing it. However, that is my personal philosophy. There are a lot of cards that I will play once and recognize or realize that is just not the experience I am personally looking for when I am deploying these cards out. I'll play a Chroma's Will, because I actually do love that effect, and I know it can be such a blowout, and it can be game-ending for 4 mana. Yes, it's kind of one of those cards where it's if you have your commander, you can do both sides of it. But I look over at deflecting SWAT, and I'm like, I fucking hate this card because you just play your commander, you can just cast it for free. You're like, yeah, whatever. But
Every time I
again,
see an Chroma's Will, I'm just like, yeah, okay, you can have a Crater Hoof. That's fine. I don't know. It's kind of hard to get mad at it. I'm just like,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
I lose, whatever. You had to assemble a board state, and then here's your Chroma's Will that says my board state wins the game now. There's a number of other cards that do that also require a board state, and we don't get mad about those effects.
It's, again, yeah, like, it's all silly, it's all subjective, and sometimes in the heat of the moment, it's easy to get, like, angry or disappointed, like, oh, wow, well, turn one play, like, the first person in the pod for the turn rotation got Soul Ring on turn 1 and no one else did. What's gonna happen? Apparently, statistically, they're more likely to win and all this other stuff, but at the end of the day, like, you have these game pieces, what is your intention with them? What is the goal you want out of it? And, like, I have Soul Rings in decks, and I have Soul Rings in not decks. What I'm trying to say here? I put Soul Talisman.
My challenge to you, gamers, is to look your Soul Ring in the eye, and when she tells you to play her on turn 1, say no.
Yeah,
Play
just
her
don't
on,
do
like,
that.
turn 3. You'll be fine.
Yeah, just chill
You'll
out.
be expecting the mana spike, you know? It'll
Also,
be one
like,
extra mana you weren't
Literally,
expecting
no one's
you to have.
ever gotten mad at me for playing a Soul Ring on turn 3, and I sandbag that shit so fucking
No
much,
one
dude.
cares. No one cares at that point. I think one of the things is, like, oh my god, we're stuck on this for so long.
Keep talking, Cole.
Relax.
As the mana, like, whether you say, like, power creep and all this other stuff, mana values for certain effects are getting lower and lower and lower. And I've even put more 1-drops in my commander decks when I avoided them, because I'm like, I just feel as if some of my 1-drops are not as impactful as Soul Ring or whatever. I'm playing so many.
This guy who was telling me to play more 1-drops in that one deck.
I can't even remember what deck it was now, but now it's like, I could put Soul Ring here, but I could put something else that's just like, I could play that turn 1 and not have to worry about, like, I have to get my Soul Ring out. I could be responsible, put this 1-drop thing out, then work my way up to playing Soul Ring when it will matter where you want that extra 2 mana for, like, your 5-drop commander or something.
And I'm just gonna throw it out there before I say, okay, we can move on from Soul Ring. Play Dreadmaw's Ire, play Pick Your Poison, play Vandal Blast, and be willing to single target it.
Yeah,
Soul
okay.
Ring, playing in turn order and, like, seeing the turn 1 Soul Ring come down and being the turn 3 player and getting to pick your poison
You have
to blow it up.
It's Icarus
always
time.
feels so much better.
Yeah, the
than
release.
actually
So
playing the Soul
fucking
Ring.
good.
Yeah.
I had 2 games the other day where I was like, I'll pick your poison and choose each opponent sacrifices an artifact. And it was turn 1, we blew up a Soul Ring. And the next fucking game, I play a Soul Ring on turn 1 because I'm trying to power out a Font of Mythos. And the dude gets me back with a Destroy My Soul Ring. And you know what? Game recognized game.
It's like when you're, well, yeah. I feel as if this is comeuppance for all the times you blew up Skull Clamps.
No,
Skull
that's gonna
Clamp
keep
deserves
happening.
it. Everyone agrees that Skull Clamp deserves it. People are like, Soul Ring, there's an argument. But nobody defends
No, I'm
Skull
kidding.
Clamp.
I know a
You
Skull
blow up
Clamp
a
needs to
Skull
go.
Clamp and they're just like, yeah, understandable.
To return too many Skull Clamps with Radun Hagadoon in the last month or so, and it's just,
Yes, I will swing my my mana dork into your 2/1 with
Oh,
Skull
no.
Clamp,
Oh,
and I
well,
will
you don't even need
Dreadmaw's
to
Ire to buff it.
I
Kill your
tap-
creature, destroy the Soul Ring or the Skull Clamp.
The Skull Clamp, yeah.
Get in there. Love to see it.
All right. Are we? Is the soapbox over, Light?
Yeah, I kicked it off.
Yeah,
in the
we
corner.
can
We're
get off
good.
that soapbox.
We're good. All right.
I got it out of my system.
Vibe checks.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to throw mine out here because this is a deck that I think I'm going to be taking apart for Red Death Shipwrecker from Fallout because Claire already called me out. We're on Fallout posting, so I was looking at that little goatee mana dork that makes red. So I brought out my Elena and Brinelin deck that I've had on my shelf forever. It was supposed to be budget implicitly. The design of it was like use discounted creatures that are able to reduce the cost for all like instant sorceries in your graveyard or non-land permanents or like whatever. And then use Elena's mana generating ability for red for power and put into Brinelin and then just start like casting a bunch of big bigs. The problem with that is that Elena checks the power of the card as it enters, and you don't exactly have the window for it to check what the power is before the Hero's Blade equips, because it still registers it as it enters. And more often than not, I just found that I could not cast Branglen the way I wanted to. Because it's going from that jump to 5 to 8 and it's not impossible. But I just found it to be very underwhelming because then someone just like kills Branglen and you're like, great, so now he's a 10 mana. And yeah. So, and at that point, if you're throwing out a large Branglen plus whatever else, you're going to be casting it for that high cost. Like a bunch of serpents. It was also kind of low-key a sea monster deck. It's just Branglen was immediately out of the running. So yeah, Elena and Branglen does not pass the check, and I'll be taking it out back and shooting it, so it can make way for a tiny little crab mutant with actual red glowing eyes. You didn't even need to use Moxfield's red eye like generator; it just had them. So
I love that piece. It's so funny.
As to what I will be doing with Red Death, I still don't quite know. I got a bunch of cards in a box ready to go to start, like, sorting through. But I think there's just a lot of cool cards that I'm going to be putting in that deck, including Ensnared by the Mara that I finally got.
Fucking finally. I've been telling you to play that for almost a year now.
It's I know, but the local stores just never had a copy. I got a Ripple foil though, so I'm pretty excited for that. But yeah.
Oh, that card, right?
Yeah, super cool. I'm going to be making people do some decision making. And yeah, so that's it for me this week.
All right, well, my vibe check this week is my favorite bird in Magic the Gathering, Dragonhawk, Fate's Tempest. She's a 5/5 flyer for 3 red, a legendary creature, bird dragon, and whenever Dragonhawk enters or attacks, exile the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creatures you control with power 4 or greater. You may play those cards until your next end step. At the beginning of your next end step, Dragonhawk deals 2 damage to each opponent for each of those cards that are still exiled. I think that if you cast this and it picks up a Hero's Blade, then your opponents are going to be like, I don't want that to have a Hero's Blade.
Well, it's the 3-shot clock, and you're throwing out damage like nobody's business. Honestly, let's be honest here.
And attack trigger that you get that, so like I'm going to combat with it. I'll take the buff along with it for free too. Sure.
Okay, I got a question.
So
I got a
much
question for you,
damage.
Quinn. Dragonhawk versus Hugs. Who do you love
Hugs
more?
gives me more colors, and I can play Dragonhawk in the 99 of Hugs, and do. So I think I
Yeah,
gotta
I'm
go
not
with Hugs on that.
surprised. Okay. All right, that's why Dragonhawk was not the title of last episode.
Yeah, because I was fangirling mostly about Hugs that episode. We weren't fangirling about Dragonhawk. Actually, I don't think I had met her yet. I didn't meet her until fairly recently.
Oh, right. You only saw a passing glance.
Yeah, I
It
was
was in the
watching.
schedule. They had plans to hang out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it was
I
going
was
to
watching
happen.
content. We'd locked eyes from across the room and like scheduled a little, Anyway,
Time to drink while the rhythms bloom.
yeah, exactly.
Bloom Burrow. There we go.
There we go.
The typo, the audio typo.
All right, tell me about some dinosaurs that pass the vibe check.
All right.
Dinosaurs that pass the vibe check.
So
This is not an exhaustive list of all of the legendary dinosaurs that pass or do not pass the vibe check, but these are some that came to mind, and so I'm mostly going to kind of rapid fire. Some of them have been mentioned on this podcast before, but Zatulpa, 1-800, you know the
You
meme,
flapping. Hell yeah.
deserves to be
Queen.
mentioned again.
Got her on my
Yes!
desk
Yeah, all right,
here.
yeah.
Zatulpa is in my rebuild of Zakama right now. She has a home right now, and that makes me feel good. Snapdax is a dinosaur, in case you forgot.
Also has
She is
double
a
strike.
Nightmare. She is a nightmare beast dinosaur. Has double strike as well.
Nightmare.
Clips the blade.
Actually, that's a dinosaur cat nightmare.
Oh yeah, she is Kahira compatible.
Dinosaur cat nightmare. You're right.
Still very cool,
Shish. Zalortha, specifically not Apex, Strength Incarnate, the Godzilla King of the Monsters
Okay,
one.
yeah.
Secondary. When Zalortha picks up the sword, he becomes a 10/5. But so he doesn't get the thing where like his clock is increased because he still takes 3 shots to kill you. But because Zalortha makes it so that your power is what determines when you die from damage,
it's the toughness
also
now,
increasing his survivability better than Hero's Blade normally does. And that is my positing for why Zalortha becoming effectively a 10-10.
Pretty good.
I think that's pretty good.
I'll sign
I think
off
that's
on
good
that.
enough. Pantlaza was mentioned, I think, in episode 2. I called out because
So do we want to talk?
Pantlaza picks
Episode
up.
1, actually.
Do we want to talk about this?
I mentioned Pantlaza passing the vibe check for episode 2. I've listened to like the first
okay.
4 episodes today, passing the vibe check. But in episode 1, Empress Quinn went on the record saying that you played the Pantlaza Precon.
I did.
And that it was a good time.
It was. That's the problem, though. It's only a good time for the pilot.
Oh, Quinn.
Yeah.
Pantlaza.
We went back and listened to that and was just like, you don't know yet. Just an incredibly strong Magic the Gathering card.
Considering
Yeah.
what I've seen people do with that card, I'm just like, why was this ever okay? Like, how did they allow this to happen?
My deck is called I Was Wrong About Pantlaza because I dismissed Pantlaza as this is just Gishath but worse.
No!
God,
Why
she's
were
so
you
much
so
better.
wrong?
What a busted Magic the Gathering card. And if you're just like
So
playing the
great.
Pantlaza Blink deck, where you just like everything that you can discover into is oops, it's a Blink spell for Pantlaza.
Lae'zel's Acrobatics is a fun
Oh,
Magic
it's
card.
so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah.
You're like,
So
oh
many
no, I rolled
dinosaurs
low on my
just
D20
have
roll.
TVs.
Oh no. Silly card.
So Pantlaza picks up the Hero's Blade, becomes a 7/6, which is better than 4 for discovering equal to toughness, on top of getting the clock decrease. Gishath is an easy one. Gishath scales with combat damage to rip more dinosaurs out of your deck. 3 is more than 7.
100%.
Indoraptor is a cool one that I'm legitimately actually considering putting in the list. Because Indoraptor has an Enrage trigger to choose an opponent at random, and they get a choice, either sacrifice a non-token creature or take damage equal to the Indoraptor's power.
Okay,
Normally this is fueled by the Bloodthirst X that the Indoraptor has to power it out with a bunch of +1/+1 counters. The Hero's Blade takes some of the weight off of having to do the prep work with your damage.
Well, that's
before.
it. That's always the thing, right? Like, for a 3/3 power, if you're just looking at it from that alone, is like monumental. And if you're able to, it does 2-mana investment for +3 passively for not just Indoraptor, for any of these dinosaurs or commanders. Like, it's doing the work. It's doing the job.
It'll be really annoying.
Yep.
And the Indoraptor has Menace. God,
Yeah.
it's such a cool card.
Menace has been overperforming for me the last forever.
Menace has been putting
Me
the whole
too.
team on her back as of late. It's fucking
I have
wild.
thoughts about that later specifically, but yes,
Okay.
Menace good. None of the Galtas pass the vibe check. There's no reason to put a Hero's Blade on a Galta besides
you're
your
already
opponent's at
doing-
15 life instead of 12.
You're already doing so much. Yeah, there's
If
no
you're going
point.
She's
to-
always a 12/12 with trample.
If you're going to put a sword on Galta, you need to just make her the rightful Queen of England and give her Excalibur.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, okay.
'Cause then
If you're
you're
gonna
just
do
killing
something,
them.
Yeah, just lop people's heads off.
Yeah. Galta, none of the Galtas gain any mechanical benefit. It doesn't increase your commander damage clock. Why? That's my question. Why?
yeah. Look, the only thing that we are ever focused on when it comes to these conversations, and this was something that Andy did bring up in the Legendary Creature cast when he shouted us out for a brief moment, was that, like, there is that nuance of, like, why would you do this, you know? And if you're playing any of the Galtas, you have, like, numerous ways of just doubling its power outright through, like, any other resource. So it's like, you'd rather be dedicating that 2-drop slot to, like, probably just churning out one of your Galtas at that point.
If you're playing Mavrin and Galta, you have like a bunch of cantrips that just give you double strike.
Oh,
So
yeah,
just
yeah.
play those.
Yeah.
You are not lacking for options, that's for sure, yeah.
So those are my dinosaur vibe check thoughts.
Hell yeah.
And all great, all good. All right. We will now go into content. Obligatory Kristen mention as usual.
Yeah, she wrote an article about salty cards that are good for the format, and among those, she brought up Hushbringer, and I'm just like, yeah, dude, some of you nerds need to get speed bumped. Answer my Hushbringer. Answer my deafening silence.
No.
Don't simply
Bump my speed.
Don't simply dump your hand directly into a board wipe and be left hellbent. Mono red gamers in the comments were like, well, what am I supposed to do about a farewell? I'm in mono red. I can't just step dodge it like blue or white can, which is true. But you need to you have to address that like the red player, you know? Kill the farewell mage first or find a way to stockpile cards for later. There's connecting the dots that you can use that you can activate at instant speed to put those cards in your hand. So there's like things like that. Just like find ways to stockpile value that you can access later, like via exile or like delayed wheel effects or other things like that.
Which there's so many. Like that's the thing. When it came to this article, and especially about farewell, it's like I do just completely unload my hand way too often because of it's the red mage in me, it's the character tag I got, like I just gotta do it because impulsively there's just this feeling of if I can get ahead, I can win this game right now.
And you can a lot of the times, but you have to understand that if you're doing that, then you're running the risk of overextending and getting board wiped into oblivion. And that's the game, babes.
Yeah.
Some of y'all gamers just need to warm your water, you need to steep your leaves, and you need to sit with your tea and think about how you are not the victim that you think you are to powerful cards in EDH. You have the tools and the skills to handle it. I believe in you.
If you have Krango 2 on board, maybe don't also cast Krango 1.
Yeah, you do need the backup.
Just save that one for later. Also, Toxro mentioned, and it's in exactly the way that we use her. In the command zone is a clearly telegraphed control win condition. And then I posted a picture of the Magic the Gathering playtest card, control win condition, for 4 blue creature whale, who says the spell can't be countered, it's got Shroud, and its power and toughness are equal to the number of turns that you've taken this game. If this is in your deck, please keep track of this. This means you, Mark. And to that I'm saying, no, not you, control win condition, but you get the point. It's just a big threat that like will end the game.
That's how I treat Zakama in my Ravenous and Goad, our control mechanics deck list. It is just Naya control.
Yeah.
I'm always saying that. She's a control win condition.
She is a mono blue control win condition that just happens to have trample and removal stapled onto her. You present a 9/9 and then you present it to their face. And if they don't do something about it, they will die very quickly.
Yeah, they're like, I'm going to resolve these creatures. And you're like, no, I have my control win condition now, and I'm going to use my burn damage to burn out your creatures. I'm blowing up your enchantments.
Like, how many, like, not even going to other formats, but if we're talking about, like, standard, how many times would you see a Dimir or a Zoria's control deck that did not just have some giant, dumb, stupid 7-drop that just, you kept this thing alive, you were going to win the game, you know? Like,
Silumgar got there eventually.
Yeah.
From Eldraine, the fucking Lockmere Serpent. Like, you land that, you're winning that draft.
Consecrated Sphinx. I feel like there was some...
Sphinx of the Final Word.
Fucking Dream Trawler.
Dream Trawler.
You spend the mana on Dream Trawler, that's your control win condition, and you protect her ride to victory.
I imagine Nezahal was played in Standard, I'm sure.
That's a control win condition, too.
Oh, wait a minute. What was the Prowess Serpent from Constitute?
Pearl Lake Ancient. Yes,
Pearl Lake Ancient.
Also
yeah,
a control win condition.
So, like, you are never lacking in options. What I'm trying to get to is, we do, on top of just, like, sandbaking, just also put out your big, large, play a defensive game, and then just turn that big thing sideways when you've survived the board wipe. Because no one, like, I don't know, it's... Commander is obviously a different beast, but I've died to just big cards because that was the one big card that came out after the board wipe, and you were like, fuck.
Yeah, you're just like, I've spent all of my resources, and now opponent has a Zatalpa. And they're also blowing up my threats. So I guess this game's over.
One of my favorite things to do with Zakama is after a board wipe, cast Zakama, untap, cast another big like Zatalpa, pass the turn.
Yeah,
and then you're just like, Well, shit.
Yeah.
I guess this is over.
I need to play my Zakama deck at some point in the future.
I agree with that. More Zakamas in the world.
I need
Only
the
if you're out
appropriate.
here recognizing that it's a control win condition. Some people will be like, here's my Zakama on turn 3, and here's a Seedborn Muse, and I'm just going to hold the table hostage but not win.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. No,
Please
you
don't
need
do
to
that,
win.
gamer.
Zakama, please win the game when you cast Zakama.
I'm trying my best. But she also did an article about the design of giving a gift from Bloomburrow. And I am already, like, a pretty big fan of the design because it feels, for the most part, from what I can tell, is mostly balanced. There were some cards that gave gifts in such a weird ratio that I wasn't, like, some of the red uncommon cards, it's like, you deal 3 damage, but if you gift a treasure, you'll deal 3 damage to the creature, and then, like, 1 or 2 damage to the controller? And you're like, okay, someone will probably be able to do something with this in this sideboard. I don't know what. I don't get it, but whatever.
I think it's mostly just a limited thing. They can't make the burn spells too good, because then, like, the creature-focused game that they're trying to focus is, like, not playable.
Well, well, that's what everyone's saying. They're like, oh man, like, limited is, like, the 2-drop, like, battleground where everyone and their grandma has, like, a 2-drop army. And you're like, I kill your 2-drop. They're cool, so I put 2 2-drops out. And they're like, well, what the fuck, man? But I have no idea what I'm talking about because I don't play limited.
With the exception of, like, perch protection, my beloved.
Tell me about that, because I'm a huge question mark emojis over my head when people say I'm going to give somebody an extra turn. I'm like, you what, mate?
Yeah.
I've resolved it once in New Narset, and I won the game.
Okay, continue.
But I think that there is a... Like, so there's nuance in this, you know? I think that perch protection caught my attention for Narset in Enlightened Exile because she gives your team prowess.
Yes. Yeah. So those two birds.
Those 4 birds all have prowess, and when you watch the scariest player at the table annihilate 1 or 2 of the other players in the late game, because they're not just going to leave that value on the table, they're going to use their games and their game pieces and actions to progress the game state, hopefully via the meaningful reduction of life totals.
Yeah.
And then you untap with 5 creatures that have prowess and Narset, who says, hey, you're going to cast 2 spells this turn. Most likely.
Yeah.
If not more, because I build the Narset deck to Firecracker. When we cast a spell, it casts another spell, it casts another spell. The only purpose is to cast more spells. They're not dangerous spells, but I'm going to turn my 2/2s into 8/8s, and somebody's going to die.
Yeah.
And they did. They died.
And making game objects deck.
So, yeah, like, I also like how the design really fucks with the people who don't understand the concept of giving a resource to another player for a trade-off.
I think you can kind of get that when you cast Long River's Pull and counter somebody's spell and give somebody else who's not even involved with that at all the card from the gift.
Like, in a multiplayer game format like Commander, it's be like, you are noticeably behind. I will give you a card. That seems like a good trade-off for this situation, when other people would be like, but you're still giving them a resource. But, like, again, and Krista points it out, the resource that you're giving is so inconsequential because the resources that you are giving is give a card, give a fish token, give a food, give an extra turn if you're absolutely bad shit, you know, but like, but those are now cards that are in circulation where you can do that, and it doesn't have to be the same person you're targeting. So I'm all for it. I already got a couple in Bloodrick, which I know I haven't really mentioned a whole lot in the last few weeks, but I got the board wipe that was mentioned in the article, which I love the alternate artwork for, but I can't. Starfall Invocation, which the alternate artwork has a bat with, like, the magic and sonar, like, coming off of it, where it's like, you gift someone a card, you blow up the board, you blow up the creatures, and then if the gift was promised, you get to return a creature that was put in the graveyard for the battlefield under your control, which is, like, great. That's something I want to do in Odric. That's fantastic. I still get some value out of it. And then Parting Gust was the other one where it's like, it could be removal, or it could bounce one of my creatures to come back at the end step, so it can step dodge removal or
I was telling you about this earlier. There's like a little bit of a standard deck that's like scamming with that Parting Gust card. They're playing prototype creatures and then blinking it with Parting Gust. So
cool.
I love prototype.
This is a random tangent and maybe not the most appropriate time, but I just got one of the prototype cards from Modern Horizons 2 with affinity for artifacts. It's your 7 mana 4/4 with like a prototype for a lesser value, but it was just like, I'm gonna put that in Megatron because it's artifacts.
Skitterbeam Battalion?
No, well, I mean Skitterbeam is in
it's like
one of my artifacts.
Enforcer or some shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Just kind of combine everything together, but it's just like, it's such a neat design. A cool way of using like the text box to do the prototype mana like power and toughness and everything else. Skitterbeam Battalion just seems like a fun thing of being like, all right, I make 3 of them and then I flicker the main one and beep beep go, and you're like, yeah, that seems pretty freaking sweet.
I like that a lot.
But yeah, definitely encourage checking it out, because if you are like me and some cards flew under your radar for Bloomborough, it's a good way to kind of review what is going on in the design. And especially the way Kristen also talks about, like, how do you compare a board, like, what do you need in a board weight nowadays, especially Commander? And like, what can you get out of it when like you also compare to like Day Judgment or Doom Blast and all that other stuff?
Yeah.
And as a quick encouragement, it is okay to go and recheck Bloomborough releases. I know that Duskmourn reviews or previews start in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Like around the corner. Like by the time the episode comes out, like we're a week or less away, and we're going to be right in the thick of it.
But it is okay to go back and reread the new Capenna Commander cards. You will. We will
always go back to that.
Really good.
We will always. Yeah. Every time,
banger after banger after banger.
Every time Shiv and Butt is like, "Oh, I've never seen this card. I didn't know it existed." And I think a recent one was from
New Capenna.
Well, that was one. Like, it's always that set. But it's Murders at Karlov Manor has started where people are like, "I did not know this thing existed." You're like,
I've
had a few of those.
Go back through that. I like that.
I definitely checked out.
On
Murders.
A lot of people are like, it's got fedoras, I don't want anything to do with it. But I'm like, no, but the cool designs, I promise. There's cool designs.
Again, I know everyone was like, it felt like New Capenna and that goes hand in hand, and it really truly does. But there were some like cool sleeper hits in that, and you just got to go back and look, because like,
just
you can
read some rules text. It'll be fun. I promise.
Kind of moving further on into kind of what's been going on outside of just like your regular standard articles. Jim LePage got an article out about the silver border project that they're trying to do, like release a document out in like 3 weeks, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, about how to discuss or talk with your other players about rules zeroing silver border cards. No, sorry, not in a few weeks. September 30th is the expected date, because I think that's also around the next quarterly update, I think, give or take.
I don't know when those happen. I just retweet them when I do.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I see the tweet, and I'm like, oh, that happened today.
Yeah. Again, not that I'll get into it, because everyone will have their opinion about the rules committee, to which I say...
We don't want to talk about opinions today.
Well, yeah, no. I just willing to let the rules committee do its shit, because, like, I have... what do I really have to complain about Commander right now, personally? I got nothing. I can keep saying, dockside extortionist and all this other shit, but in reality...
Unban Grizzlebrand.
No, we will not be doing that, Lyght. We do know it.
Relax.
I will say that for everyone who tries to heckle people on the rules committee or the commander advisory group, I will point out that commander players cannot be trusted. So
Yeah,
every time.
I can be trusted with Grizzlebrand and Indominus, I promise.
So anyway, that's a
can't,
lie.
sweetie,
You
no.
cannot at all. I could not trust that. The same way that I cannot be trusted to not be chaotic in any Commander game for the hilarity.
That's true, and that's why you recently updated your Twitter bio to include the character trait loose cannon.
It's
Hey.
it's great. I love it. But yeah, I think when it comes, especially because we've shifted gears from Sheldon being the public face to Jim choosing to be the public face right now, and we're also talking about someone who does the spike feeders on top of it. It's like, man's got his shit to do. He went on vacation, and people were like, and he will come down from his mountain, and I'm just like, shut the fuck up, man. The man's going on vacation. Like, I don't understand. Why? I went on vacation.
Commandment, and nothing changed.
Nothing changed. Yeah. They hated him because he spoke the truth. Nothing changed. You know? Fucking poor Jim. Oh my god. And yeah, no. So the project idea, they said apparently they're looking at Nadu, probably the same way they're looking at Dockside Extortionists, and people will socially do their shit, and I've only seen Nadu, like, realistically twice.
I don't think either of those cards are going to get banned because we just keep proving that the social contract thing works and then they don't need to.
I've never played a game of Magic with a Nadu.
Yeah, and hopefully you never will.
Hopefully I never will, but if I do, well, I'll be able to be like, yeah, never again, please.
Apparently in the 99 it's pretty good, but I haven't seen it, so I have no idea. But anyway.
Apparently it's
I
good in
haven't
the
gotten to
60 as
try
well,
it
I've
yet.
heard.
It got removed immediately the last time that I put one on the battlefield, so, you know.
Understandable, have a good day.
Yep.
I think, despite the fact that Jim has gone on record saying he does not like silver border cards, and I also do not like silver border cards from me playing it, more tools in the player's book is better than no tools. So any effort, I think, is just neat, because I know people who play Rule Zero stuff, so it's like, you ask the question, you have the conversation. If you have the right tools to have the conversation, I got no complaints. You'll just never see me play those cards.
Yeah. I have Super Duper Death Ray in more than one deck, and it's literally just black border flame spill, or silver border flame spill, sorry. It's fine.
Fitz plays that dinosaur, transformer dinosaur, I can't remember.
Grimlock,
fucking Grimlock.
Okay,
yes.
thank you. Someone here was going to be able to do it. Thank you.
Grimlock, me strongest. Come on, Cole.
Gee, I don't.
100%.
I'm not a Transformers person. That's Alex's job.
Get a load of this fucking guy. He doesn't even know that freedom is the right of all sentient beings.
Okay, I
Holy
do know
shit,
that.
I
Let's
bet he
calm
doesn't
down.
even
Let's
know
calm
that
down.
Starscream,
All
how many
right.
times Starscream has switched allegiance.
And now I'm the leader of the Decepticons. Megatron's right behind me, isn't he?
Megatron's come down with a cold, which is why I'm announcing myself as the leader.
Hey,
of the
did you see? Did you see the new Transformers comic where they grafted Megatron's cannon arm onto Optimus?
Bro,
No.
what?
Yeah,
I don't follow the comic releases for Transformers stuff, but that's cool as
It's
fuck. Every
sli-
time I see comic stuff for Transformers,
it just
looks
seems
awesome.
cool as shit.
That's
like, no,
true.
but
They're getting up to some cool shit in the Transformers fandom.
he's like, oh man, my arm's toast. Yo, you just still got that other arm on ice? And the guy's like, Ratchet's like, yeah, I got you, fam. And he fucking slaps the cannon arm on him. And his transformable mode actually has the cannon be integrated into it. So now he's a fire
Nice.
truck with a cannon on the top. And I'm like, all right, that's fucking sick. I love it.
Soundwave has a Spinosaurus transformation
Yes.
in one of the
Yeah.
comics.
I saw that. That was sick. He came out of the water, and it was like, all right, you know what? This is fire. All right, and then last thing from me for this episode, EDH Rec got a UI overhaul where you can now narrow down your searches on the commander page or whatever, so you're able to organize things by like mana value, you're able to organize things by certain mana values, and also getting stuff narrowed down to like budgetary options from like lowest to highest or whatever. I haven't fiddled it with myself, but they do go over it on their YouTube page. And yeah, it looks a little bit more cleaner. I don't use it a whole lot often myself recently, but
Yeah, I think that'll be good for the people who do use EDH Rec. I am not one of them.
I like to look at EDH Rec for hipster cred.
and now you have the assets, and now you can do that.
Okay, check it. So,
And hey, and
Garza's
okay, yeah.
Plague Queen has 77 total decks. And
Yes. Okay.
just saying. The
Stop.
other thing, I also filtered the Toxrill, the corrosive decks, by decks that contained Tagwell, Duke of Splendor, so I could find the only Toxrill Fairies decks, and there is one other gamer out there, so shout out to that fellow hipster. And that's the kind of searching that you can do.
I know Lenny.
I do.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I did, out of curiosity, not for any help with deck building, but because I wanted to see check Indominus Rex on EDH Rec. I think it was as soon as last week. And as I scrolled down, I'm like, yeah, these are cards that either I do play or I don't play for very specific reasons.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the two modes.
I've found that, like, if I am several months after a set, I'll be like, all right, what's going on? Oh, I did grab that already. I didn't even look. And then sometimes I'm like, what the fuck is this card? And I was just going to say,
before.
Lenny, considering that, like, Lenny is constantly in flux with that Urza Gumball machine, I'm sure he's on top of it, but there's probably times where he's like, damn, this card got priced out. Time to swap it out for, oh, I didn't know that card existed. So
Brand new trash uncommon.
I mean, and he just recently
It's Fireball seen from above.
he works more busy for him, so I imagine that he probably appreciates that he can start using some of these tools to be like, where the fuck is this card, and find it. So yeah, go check that out if you are a user of EDH Rec. And that is it for me for content.
I got one thing. It's not a specific piece of content, but kind of in the same way that that I think that my feed is enriched because I follow Empress Quinn, because I think that they are the only person on Twitter, on EDH Twitter, that always has objectively correct takes, asterisks, lower, like small text asterisks. Go follow the lovely Medusa if you're on Twitter. I don't know if she's making anything right now or if she has intents to, but she tweets a lot about her deck building process and philosophy. I think that she's a very good player. If that interests you, I'm very impressed with what I've seen from her in the games we've gotten to play together, and has a very unique building mindset. And I think she very much intentionally tries to capture the kitchen table vibes of Commander, and plays a lot of cards that are like intentionally not, efficient, not optimized, intentionally unoptimized Commander. And I think that even if you don't become a better player by absorbing and internalizing what she has to say, you will at least become a more interesting player as a result. So that's my shout out. Her @ will probably be in the description.
I was gonna say, has this person, like, she followed me recently, and like I just don't think I've ever seen her name before, at least as far as I'm aware. So
she only showed up for me like a month ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say very recently. Yeah. So you can click that follow button because I just did that. Because
she also is equivalent, if not perhaps a few rungs above me in dinosaur enjoyment, if you want more of that in your life.
Dang. I mean, it is stiff competition, so...
Like, I don't know, when you have a chat with someone for the first time and you talk about T-Rexes specifically for 2 hours, it leaves an impression.
Holy shit, yeah.
Okay. So, that's it for content. Everyone go check that stuff out. Once again, I'm just going to shout out Brew Review, because they just got a interview episode out with... Dave the Noob, which that was a pretty interesting episode to go over. So go check that out. Let's get into Quinn. Where are you going?
You'll be fine.
All right, let's go into decks and games and stuff. Light, take it away for this part.
Me? Take it away?
Yeah,
you talk about Indominus Rex?
What? No way! I can't believe it. Why would you on my own podcast?
So, hi everyone, my name's Lyght. If you don't know me, I like the Indominus Rex Alpha. It's a really cool magic card. goodness, what do I want to talk about?
Where do we start with this?
Where do we start with this? August Changes, I think, is a fine enough place to start.
Yeah.
It's a big old deck list. The hard thing with this deck is that like I have an understanding of
Can I hear the
hard thing with this
Indominus
deck
origin
and
story?
the deck itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was sitting in the review
In the audience.
in the audience. I was sitting in the audience at Las Vegas last year when they were doing the preview panel, and they were talking about Jurassic Park cards and showing them on screen, a few of them, and the Indominus Rex came on screen, and I leapt out of my chair and I bellowed, yes. And if you go onto YouTube and you play it back, you can hear me. Pick me out of the crowd. My
yeah.
voice reacting. And inside the next couple hours, I decided that my goal is I wanted to have the most viewed Moxfield list for Indominus Rex. And I have since accomplished that goal by a significant margin. It is one of my proudest achievements. We're closing in on 10,000 views, gamers.
Oh,
shit.
jeez.
Like this,
Damn.
yeah.
I
guess that's what happens when you
Way
actually-
to go.
I guess that's what happens when you play good Magic colors.
Yeah,
No,
it's
that's what
true.
happens when you fucking lock in about a commander.
That is what happens when you fucking lock in about the a commander. And then I went back to our Airbnb that I was sharing with me and a bunch of people, and Benji the brewer was amongst us, and he and I were just like, we're tired, we're not going to go out tonight. And the two of us and Obosh joined us, and we talked about the Indominus for like 3 hours and just made a massive list out of all the cards we could potentially think of to put in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the next month after that, I was just in the workshop figuring out the 100 that I wanted to play. And I have been tinkering with it since then.
Hell yeah. I truly, like, it's a joy to see the level of passion and depth that you get into with this. You really put on the fucking Sunday best every time it's time to, like, announce Indominus updates. You've got a whole, like, a news feed thing that you do. And I think that the way that you, like, deliver all of that, like, content or whatever, it's really cool and fun to see. So,
Thank
like,
you so much.
thanks for giving us that.
Yeah, I love this fucking deck. I just think it's the coolest thing. What did I even do this month? I guess today exactly I retired Agent Frank Horrigan.
I did see that. I did see your tweet about that. Yeah.
So Agent Frank.
I don't know
came
how
out-
you retire. I don't know how you retire a card that's like 3 or 4 months old, but it's just like, listen,
You're
I
not
need
fully
you.
understanding just how much Light plays Indominus.
Okay,
really are.
that's true.
I have played. I feel like I should have like started time carding the amount of hours I have playtested this card by myself, just goldfishing on Moxfield. It is hundreds and hundreds of times at this point, just trying to figure out what the potential starting lines are. I have a lot of very informed, nuanced opinions about this deck. Frank Horrigan has come out this week. This month. Ancient Silver Dragon has come out this month.
Damn.
And what it was the other one? There was another notable card that came
Look
out.
at your history. You'll
I can look at my history.
You can just do
Yeah,
that.
good riddance. You didn't need those guys anyway.
While you're getting that set up, I'm sure it's
yeah,
pretty
while I'm
quick.
doing that.
But I decided to look up Audric on Moxfield, and I do have the highest on Moxfield.
Mm-hmm.
But the next one is about 400 views behind me, but it also hasn't been updated in 2 years. So I guess I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I think you're doing pretty
great.
good.
Grist was the other one.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Grist was cute. I was excited about the idea of a flip walker in the deck, but
I think we briefly talked about it, yeah.
yeah, Grist's the actualization of transforming Grist turned into sometimes I get to naturalize and sometimes I make a 1/1 pest, and not even a pest, just a bug.
That seems
And
pretty
it didn't
low
end up-
impact compared to the other things
Yeah.
that you could be doing with that slot.
Right, every creature is creaturing really hard per creature in this deck. It's tough out here.
That is a phrase, people. It's true. It's really true.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
We put in Junji the Midnight Sky, Beladros Witherbloom, and Aklazot's Deepest Betrayal.
I was going to say, it looks like
Those
we're
are some
shifting into a
bangers.
bit of a dragon era, a little bit.
Well, so I took on Ancient Silver Dragon and I wanted to at least replace with one dragon because I have a minor focus on wanting to have dragons in the deck. Because flying creatures are good in general,
100%.
but like Frontier Siege is a good Magic card, and I like being able to unironically choose Dragons mode to get an extra removal source out of the deck.
Yep.
And I really love Silumgar Drifting Death as one of my hexproof options, and turning him into a legitimate board wipe source on a player and like getting up to the potential of -3/-3 feels really good.
Yeah, being able to repeatedly hit your opponents with -3/-3 is just like, it's going to make it really hard for them to establish and like keep board states.
I think, I don't know what it's been recently, but there's been some conditional board wipes where people are like, yeah, I cost Toxic Deluge for like an arbitrarily low number, and it's pretty impactful. We're at that point.
Also, Silumgar pairs really well with Massacre Girl, Known Killer, and Maha, and Archfiend of Ifnir in the deck, making up my 2 out of the 4 of these makes it so you just don't have creatures anymore.
Okay, yeah.
Holy
I mean,
shit.
the Archfiend by itself, but yeah.
With Indominus,
Yeah,
is
it's just like
harsh.
shredding creatures every turn.
Yeah. No, it's a good time. It's a fun time. Maha has flying and trample for some reason. That's all I needed for a nasty,
Why did I
weird
never clock
wrench.
it had trample? I just thought it was just a
Obviously, it
flying
needs trample,
owl.
so that when you set your opponent's shit to 1, it hits for 6 and 5 tramples over. So it's like it's a 5/5 flyer.
That's so fucked.
Belladros seemed the real thing that. So there's 2 kind of chain reactions. Belladros replaced Ancient Silver Dragon because I wanted another big dragon. Ancient Silver Dragon is one of my favorite cards, but I found that drawing 15 cards, while great, means that now I have to decide of my 20 cards for the rest of the game, which ones am I casting on my turns. And that just takes time that I'm not really looking to do. And I like pitching. It's the you don't have a maximum hand size thing. Because I actually found that more often I wanted to pitch the cards to my graveyard because the Indominus plays with the graveyard a lot.
Yeah.
I don't really want to be holding on to these cards that badly. And being forced to discard makes you a better Magic player. Play
100%.
Rafine for a month.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
So pests are cool. Untapping your lands are cool. My first attempt to use Witherbloom in a test game. We'll talk about that game later because it didn't go how I wanted it to go.
No, you don't say.
Gingy
is cute.
A good card.
Gingy is cute. It gave me another reanimation source in the deck, which is nice. It also is another form of removal, which this deck is kind of light on removal because like a 6/6 with Death Touch and Flying and Trample and Hexproof is usually enough for removing creatures.
True. That's
Yeah,
kind of
no,
nice
It's functional removal because nobody's going to attack into it and nobody is going to block it meaningfully.
Yeah.
So there is removal in the deck, but I have been trying to find ways to get like more creature per creaturing in the direction of removal, and that discard thing is kind of harsh. And Aklazot's was an effort along the same lines of like, hey, I want another flying beater that forces discards, and it also gives you bats, and it also has lifelink, and it also turns into a land if it dies.
That's a lot
Pretty
of creature
neat.
per creature.
It is a lot of creature per creature. And so that kind of leads me well into the next point I wanted to touch on, is that people suggest cards to me that I don't want to objectively say are bad, but I don't understand why they ask me why I play them. Or why I display them.
Well, okay.
There are, like, Vampire Nighthawk is a great example of one I always get asked about because, well, it's just a 3 mana, or it's a 3 keyword creature.
But that's the issue. That is all that it is. You know? So here's, okay, I'm going to just pick it off this really quick here. Because I have constantly joked, ever since you started making Indominus, that I am the red-white equivalent of what you're trying to do. The problem is, your commander just does way more on that ETB that I just wish Audric maybe did, like, a fraction of that, you know? And
you just
he does.
gotta pay a few more mana to draw your cards.
Yeah, so... But the one thing that I've been realizing is that, like, okay, Swiftblade Vindicator has stuck around in this deck for a long time. Because it is a 2-mana creature with double strike and vigilance and... Am I not reading this properly? I think it's got trample. Am I crazy? I know these cards. It does have trample. But, for example, there was a, what was it, Shrike Force or whatever that was printed in Bloomborough. And there's that dwarf that has flying, vigilance, and lifelink from Kaladesh. And the thing is that the higher mana value you go, or try to find something of an equivalent mana value, you just want something that just does more for a little bit less for, like, what are the keywords on it? If I can do something similar at 2 keywords and still have some kind of upside, it makes the cut.
Absolutely.
So, like, when you start getting into the 3-drop slot of Audric Bloodcurse, it is super stiff competition of, like, I need... Craig Boone gives lifelink and reach, and can also start dealing damage to creatures or players over time. Professional Facebreaker gives you ramp through treasures, could maybe convert it into card advantage if you're so desperate. And it's also just 1 keyword, but that 1 keyword, Menace, is pretty freaking good. And then you look at stuff like Wojek Investigator, where it's flying and vigilance, 4 toughness, which is pretty good for blocking for a flyer, and then you get to start making clue tokens if you are dumping your hand. So it's all these minor nuances that only you, as the pilot of these particular types of decks, that you only understand how these cuts work. Anyone else would be like, well, why don't you do it? It's like, because, you know what? I think I'm calling it Strike Force. I have no freaking clue what it's called, but it's that 3-drop bird that has double strike.
You got it right.
Yeah. Like, you know what? It's a little bit closer to what I want, because it's got that double strike. That could be super freaking helpful, and it's a flyer. That's great. But that is the ceiling of what it can do. I can put some counters on it. I can cast Angel Fire. I can pull it, I can have Anthems. But, like, it has the ceiling. It doesn't do anything else for me. If it comes out late, it's gonna feel like trash if it can't do anything else afterward.
They're just not as deep in the sauce on this deck as you are. And
like, oh
that
man,
impacts
Vampire
the,
Nighthawk.
like, quality
So
of
cool.
recommendations that they give.
Yeah.
I have got specially made scuba gear to dive into the sauce
Oh.
when I'm tweaking Indominus.
Yeah,
Rex.
it's...
Oh my god. And even like the good 3 keyword creatures, like, do you know what the competition is for 3 keyword creatures in Sultai? You're fighting with Endrace Forerunners and Throsta Tempest Roar and Elder Gargaroth.
Yeah, oh.
Like, you gotta fucking fight to make me care
I'm
that you
sorry,
have 3 keywords.
you
Oh,
lost to
man.
Elder Gargaroth. You have to
Nope.
be something special.
Elder Gargaroth is real good. I don't know what to tell you. Man, Magic the Gathering cards.
Magic the Gathering cards. There was one other point I wanted to touch on before moving on.
I mean,
from
hey,
Indominus.
Vampire Nighthawk's cool,
Emrakul.
but come on.
That's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
The terror of a basic waste. I got to experience it last weekend too.
Oh,
and I got
jeez.
to experience it the first time with both of these chuckle fucks. The first time they saw me drop a wastes in my 3-color deck.
Quinn
They're like,
Quinn
"Why-"
inserts the Jerry what emote, and I'm like, what the fuck are you smoking?
Why did you play a basic waste? And it's because players of a certain caliber in Magic the Gathering, or at least of a certain knowledge, know that there's no good reason to play a basic waste unless you're playing something that requires very specifically colorless mana. And the only thing that really cares about it to that degree are Eldrazi. I was at MagicCon Chicago, and Emrakul the World Anew flashed on screen, and I knew that I wanted to pitch her to Indominus to give Indominus Rex flying, and then pay 6 colorless mana to cast her for her madness cost. So I tore my mana base apart, I took out all of the fetch lands and the dual lands, and I made room for filter lands and pain lands, and all kinds of other utility lands that can produce colorless mana, so that I could reliably cast that madness cost in what is effectively a 4-color deck right now.
Yeah.
And I do it every single time.
I don't.
I have
it's
a
it
tweet
is
about this, actually. I fucking shout out to Lyght. I keep thinking about how New Emmy came out and we were like, 6 wingdings? That's impossible outside of colorless decks. And literally, babes, you're just like, skill issue. And you do it. You do it every game.
so wrong. It's scary. It's some scary stuff to be on the receiving end of that.
Truly so impressive. You rebuilt your entire mana base to just like, I'm going to cast Emmy.
And it always feels really good. And my favorite, outside of just casting her herself, the other good part is just the terror that a single basic waste evokes. I'm gonna cast viewpoint synchronization, and I'm gonna grab 2 basic wastes. Like, why did you do that? You could have grabbed a forest or an island. Why did you choose to do that?
What are you doing with wastes?
No. It is always funny how, like, depending on how enfranchised you are, some people have, like, I'll go into it later, but we basically were teaching 2 people Magic the other night when we went out for my buddy's bachelor party, and they have some kind of game sense, but those would be the type of people that would see that and just would not clock that, because they don't understand the nuances of, like, what does your mana base gotta look like and all this other stuff. This is some scary shit.
It also gave me an excuse to, like, it gave me the excuse I needed to put Kozilek the Great Distortion back in the deck so that I could have one of each Eldrazi Titan. Because, like, if I can cast 6 colorless mana, I can cast 2 colorless mana. And I don't need Sol Ring to fucking do it. People have been like, oh, but Sol Ring makes it better for Emrakul. Geek Beardley has said this to me multiple times.
Come on.
I didn't need a Sol Ring before, and I don't need it now. Sol Ring's actually worse than a talisman for ramping out the Indominus, because she only can take 1 colorless mana to get out faster.
Yeah.
I said I would let Sol Ring go. I said I lied.
Did you put any free running stuff in that deck?
Yeah, actually. It was really cool that I had several things coalesce at the same time. I realized that I wanted to play viewpoint synchronization and restart sequence in the deck, because it's really easy to hit people with Indominus Rex. Nobody blocks her, as we've established. So that was fun. But I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to put these in, I might as well see if there's any assassins in the game that are worth consideration. Massacre Girl Known Killer is an assassin who has been on my maybe list for months. And so she found her way in conjunction with Maha, and I decided to put back in Ifnir and Silumgar, and they clicked together really well, so it made sense. And then Aveline de Grand Prix is a death-touching 4-drop disguise creature, 3/3 human assassin from the Assassin's Creed set. Whenever a creature you control with death touch deals combat damage to a player, put that many +1/+1 counters on her. Death touch is the second most consistent keyword in the deck behind flying, which was accidental, because I really wanted to make sure that trample and death touch would be on the Indominus together as like a core pillar of design, because I love that interaction.
Yeah.
So she is just really good as a card for Indominus. And it's cool that sometimes she gets to trigger free running when the Indominus isn't on the battlefield.
Yeah, I think I was playing with someone recently where they were like, well, I'm surprised like they allowed this to happen for free running. And I'm like, look, a single selective Assassin's Creed set that focused on assassins would not just be enough to allow free running to do that. And like, say what you want about the set, I think there's just a lot of cool shit in it. And
I do too.
A lot of really cool designs in there.
And,
I've got my beloved Ezio from the set.
I just think it is, whether or not it was designed for Modern, who knows. But it's just, yes, it reeks of Commander-ness. It's got a lot of cool stuff on it. I've made a Commander. I made 2 Commander decks out of it. Quinn, you've made Ezio for sure.
Ezio. Also, I think it's really easy to think a thing reeks of Commander-ness when you have access to literally the entire history of Magic, and it feels like everything's for you. So,
no, you're not wrong.
Maybe examine that when you're thinking those thoughts.
Called Shot, speaking of Universes Beyond, there are 0 creatures in green, blue, black, or colorless that natively have Double Strike.
Yes.
So even though Indominus Rex says Double Strike on the card as a keyword she can gain, the same way Riami does, you can't get Double Strike on Indominus Rex by discarding a card if she is the commander.
Well,
Called Shot, Sephiroth is going to be mono black and have flying
I don't
and
believe
Double
it.
Strike.
I don't believe it.
Holy shit.
I don't see it happening. If it
that's going to be what happens to give me Double Strike in Indominus Rex.
If it happens, I'm eating a Sephiroth card.
One ring danger.
No, just give it to me, because I probably am not going to buy it.
No, I have to eat it so you don't get it, obviously. That's how that works.
I will come to Canada and carve your stomach open with a knife.
Jeez, okay. I mean, you didn't have to put it like that.
I probably won't do that. That's a lot of gas money.
Yeah, you'd also have to get across the border, and then you'd have to get back across the border. And let's just be real, it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, that's the limiting
I don't-
factor.
I don't
Also,
think
if Cole's dead,
Canada
you
is
can't
the
come
hard
back on the
one.
podcast, so I don't know what to tell you, babes.
That's fair.
But yeah, I don't know. I will be surprised if he has double strike, but I've been proven wrong before, and people have manifested crazier
I may
shit.
be coping, but it's what I want.
Look,
it's
we
what
gotta-
I deserve, in fact.
Like most things, like Monster Hunter Wilds, we have to wait till 2025, and then right after that, or sometime after that, they'll be doing the Marvel set right after Final Fantasy, so they don't have anything slotted for in between. So it'll just be 2 Universes Beyond sets back to back, and that will be whiplash of going from a beloved series that was supposed to end with the first Final Fantasy, and now they've had numerous Final Fantasies that did not end, as a matter of fact. They were not the final one. And then immediately after that will be a beloved American superhero catalog of cards that will be coming out. It'll be interesting to see what's going on with that.
Good time for people who like Magic the Gathering cards.
Spider-Man's going to be so sick.
Probably, yeah.
I'm playing Tetsamok in the deck. Last thought, there it was. I found a home for Tetsamok in
There it is.
2024.
Yes.
Awesome. We
I
love
keep
to see
thinking
it.
about Tetsamok. I gotta just put it in a deck and see what's up. Like, it can't... Like, they printed it for a reason, right?
Remember, chat, you can put prey counters on your own creatures, and Tetsamok doesn't kill creatures that you control when he enters the battlefield. So if you have the synergies for modified, like Kodama of the West Tree, then that's a really easy way to get modification on your creatures so that they get trample and then rampant growth for you.
There's much to think about. Oh, shit.
All right, we can move on.
Quinn, what's good?
So I joined a pre-con league in the other Discord.
The other Discord, huh?
Yeah, whatever. Been getting some pre-con games getting in pre-con games out there. There we go. That's the sentence. I selected Olivia, Opulent Outlaw, for this because she's a flyer with lifelink and makes treasures in the command zone. And it's kind of hard to have a bad time if you put that in the command zone. So, here's the thing, though. I'm not the only bitch capable of gaining life. So I play my first game out there, and it ends up being a about 3-hour epic where mine and other people's life totals swing between 3 and like 39.
That's crazy.
Yeah. We got to the last couple of turns just praying for a Zatalpa that wouldn't show up because she's not in the precon. So that's the first upgrade that we have planned for the deck. The first round of updates is 6 cards maximum with a budget of $3. I have spent that on Zatalpa and Sunspine links so that we can turn off life gain and punish non-basics and kill people with Zatalpa. Next round, I'm thinking about adding like a Ruinous Ultimatum because I'm in Mardu and I get to do that. And
Did they not have that in the pre-con? I can't believe that. What the hell?
Only like mass creature removal in the deck is Hex, and I can't just have like one of those. I gotta have like more.
And you have to have 6
Well, I mean,
legal
you get, like,
targets.
I was gonna say you get 6. It's not just one.
Well, no, I mean I can't have one instance of mass creature removal. I'm throwing tomatoes. You ever get like halfway through an earnest explanation and like, oh wait, they're trolling?
Yeah. Sometimes it takes me a little longer, but yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we're gonna find a Ruinous Ultimatum, and I don't know what else. Maybe Bolus's Citadel, I think. I think that'd be really sick to have a way to spend all of the life that we gain from Olivia having lifelink.
So hold on, because I have not tapped into the pre-con league, because I've seen it be mentioned numerous times.
Yeah.
How many weeks is this supposed to be going on for?
Dude, I don't know. I'm just playing the games.
Okay, alright, cool. Sounds good.
Yeah,
I'll expect updates in 2
there's
weeks.
a lot of effort in organizing and all of that. There's like a document with all of the rules and stuff, and I read all of that and only internalized that there are times in which I need to be playing games, and so we'll play the games there. Yeah, should be a good time. Love seeing the precons cook. All of the gamers in the pod were like marveling at how hard precons go these days, and we're just like,
Yeah.
thinking about it in context, people just like take these to the LGS like right off the shelf, and people in the wild, they kind of have little to no chill. So you gotta go a little hard if you want to have a good time. And I think that's just like them recognizing the, frankly, bullshit that you're going to come across in the wild out there and handing you the appropriate sharpness weapon.
When your new to EDH friend reduces your life total to 0 for the first time, Vegeta Cell Saga meme. This is strange. Pride in someone else.
Yeah. When he's like,
Unfortunately, it makes me.
oh no! Oh,
it's overshadowed by all this
unyielding rage,
all this seething, unyielding rage.
Yeah. Good old.
And that's the Team 4-star
Yes.
dub. That's what that is.
Yeah, Team 4-star dub was so funny. Freaking Trunks knocks him into the water, and he like wipes his mouth, and he's like, "Huh, this is a new one." I just love the delivery of it. It's so good. But yeah, no, you do learn a lot. Like modern precon design is nuts, and like as the card pool has grown, power creep 2, and then of course the availability of cards. The precons are a good starting off point if you don't have any experience. But even when you have experience, sometimes you're like, yo, what the fuck did they put in this deck? What the hell?
Sometimes you've been playing Magic for a long time, and so they put this pile of cards in front of you, and you pilot it expertly, and shit slaps. You put a hell of a host on a combat celebrant.
I was surprised by
We be celebrating comp.
I was surprised by the Caesar
They put that in the
precon
deck.
minus Mr. House, but
Yeah, I mean, they had to print Mr. House, so, like, I understand.
No, they had-
He
no, they
to do
had
those
to.
colors for Mardu Treasures, so I understand. And it's an easy swap, so, like, whatever. You just, I don't know, cut him and play General Kudrow or something.
General Kudrow, my beloved Asterix.
Yeah, he's also my beloved. I have a begrudging respect for that guy. He absolutely whoops my ass every time I see him on the other side of the table, and yet I just... You're a hell of a card, General Kudrow.
yeah.
It's like, I appreciate you mechanically, but I think the person would call me a slur.
You know,
Probably.
I do. He is a professional hater on that plane, and
He is a professional hater on that plane.
I do agree. He would probably say some heinous shit too. So,
Yeah. He's
And
not
we'll
like
put
a cool dude, but he does know how to kill a monster.
Different priorities for different
I
environments.
appreciate the fact that you are saving this city from these monsters. What the methods though? We gotta, we gotta
kind of just throwing bodies at the problem, though, and we gotta maybe
we gotta
let's explore some other alternatives.
These monsters have maturation cycles that take like less than 6 months. A human takes 9 to be born.
Yeah, we don't have that time. All right, jeez, all
Math
right,
is not
man.
on our side, General.
Math is not mathing general.
But yeah, I mentioned Kudrow last episode because my buddy Brian's been playing him, and it's just like,
I think
yeah,
about
you
him
kind.
every once in a while.
I actually, you know what? I just grabbed Colonel Autumn recently.
Good guard.
From again Fallout, and he has exploit, and he gives your legendary creatures exploit, and then you put +1 counters every time
It's
you
real
exploit a
strong.
creature. And you're like, this is another alternative angle from that deck, and it's just like, yo, shit, yeah, this is kind of like pretty fucking strong.
Oh, I wish I could play him in Doctor Wu. First white.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But yeah, hey, Precon League, that's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I highly recommend partaking in one of those if you get the opportunity. Again, it is a great opportunity to sort of rebuild the pre-con biodome and experience that environment again. What you got for me? Cole, it's your turn.
Yeah, let me scroll down the list here. So this is a summary of the games and decks for the last year so far. I didn't update it from August 14th, but based off my spreadsheet that I've been using, I have faced against 213 unique commander. Oh, sorry. That's 213 games total so far, minus probably the one on Thursday, so I might be at close to 220 now. I've seen 348 unique legendary creatures from all of those games, and I'm also factoring in if I've seen these creatures as companions because of just how the deck building nature of it is. I kind of consider them to be like your third commander. And for some people, they just are the commander functionally, the intent for all intents and purposes. And that's also not factoring in the unique combinations between like partners or friends forever or like anything like that. Like, and that to me is a pretty good number. Everyone immediately commented, we could get those numbers up. Those are some rookie numbers. And I'm like, okay, fine. I mean, like, we'll get there eventually. Now, I said for this part, I'm not a stats guy. I've never been a stats guy. Even looking at my spreadsheet, even if it's like more condensed version, is freaking killing me. It felt like a headache trying to get marked down all like the unique commanders that I felt like I saw on a Moxfield list to get like visual feedback. But it's been so cool to see just the spread of unique creatures that I've been able to see. That's, and how, like, for some of it, people are like, well, that's me. And it's like, yes, obviously, that's you. The other part of it is being like, for me to be kind of like, this group of legends is from this group. And that's already like a pretty diverse group of people and a diverse amount of commanders. And then you kind of see where like there's some minor crossovers here and there. You know, you see Magnus the Red like 3 times in 1 month from different people. And you're like, where was I not invited to the Magnus the Red party? Okay, like, my god, this card is free. And
yeah, dude, it was Red October. You didn't get the memo?
Yeah, it's clearly not. But, yeah, it's very cool. I did assemble it as a Moxfield list. That's for reference. At the moment, I only have them as single copies of each legend, and I may or may not attempt to make an alternative version to kind of bump up the numbers of how many times that I had seen those particular legends throughout the year so far. But that might mess some stuff up, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that or not. But yeah, it has been very cool to compile everything together just to see, like, what has this year been like? What have I seen? And it's a great kind of refresher for, like, the games that I've been having this year. It's been pretty cool.
Nice.
That number do go up, though. I took a look at that
spreadsheet. It is, well, not the spreadsheet, but the Moxfield list.
The list, yeah.
There are...
We just took a scroll down.
It's a lot of guys in there.
It's just so many.
A lot of unique gameplay experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about that, but I don't know. I feel lucky that there's always new game pieces for my favorite game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think we've all played with various different people who have expressed of, like, the more, yes, on one hand, your encyclopedic knowledge of Commander is only getting worse over time, and for some people that can be really frustrating because they don't know everything, but it's also very cool to be able to just sit down and be like, what the fuck does this thing do? Not even just the Commander, just like, what are all these other cards that are surrounding this Commander to make you do what you wanted to do? And it's just
I love to sit down against 3 commanders I've never seen before in my fucking life.
And we're, like, it's Bloomborough. I'm gonna have people play it against me and be like, I don't know what the fuck this is. But yeah, I think I'll be updating this list a little more proactively over time now, just to be sure that, like, I can kind of keep on track of it all, because holy smokes, we're going to be seeing a bunch of new legends come out in next week, so let's get ready for that shit.
Hell yeah.
But that's it for me.
Alright, then I guess you're up, Lyght.
It's me. So we're returning to Menace, the weird power of Blue and Owen. Blue and Owen are a unique pair for Temur, because Temur doesn't have the opportunity to do dinosaurs outside of them, really.
Yeah, no, not at all, yeah.
And they're kind of weird in the way that they do it. So Owen is a 3-mana dude who he taps once. I say once. He taps at sorcery speed. You choose Menace, Reach, Trample, or Haste, and you put that kind of counter on a dinosaur. Ideally, you're putting it on Blue, who is a 4-mana dinosaur, 5/4. Whenever another dinosaur enters the battlefield, it enters with one of each kind of counter that Blue already has. So you put a counter on Blue, and then ideally she teaches the rest of your dinosaurs how to do that trick. You would think that the gameplay loop would be like, all right, Voltron, we're trying to assemble all 4 of these keywords on Blue so that all of our dinosaurs have all 4 of the things. Mm-hmm. And what I've really found is the case, at least for my build, is that Owen is there to put Haste and Menace on Blue. And then he is there to get eaten by the Mosasaurus or Ravenous Tyrannosaurus or get a +1/+1 counter and get sacrificed to Savage Order so that we could do something more important.
Let's fucking
because
go.
Trample is not important. Mm-hmm. The reason Trample is not important is because half of the dinosaurs in the goddamn game have Trample on them already. And there are other ways to get Trample. I play Kodama of the West Tree in this deck as well. Modified creatures get Trample. Garruk's Uprising gives all of your creatures Trample. Gulta has Trample, and so do all of her little siblings. So we never need to spend the turn on giving Trample. And Reach is a defensive keyword, and if I care about... There's like one Vigilance creature in Temur colors that is a dinosaur that I can play, and I do. It's Curious Altasaur. But I'm turning sideways. I don't need to be reaching to block if I'm turning my big bigs sideways. So what ended up happening, I played a game on the BOP stream with Amara and Eliana and... Bobby Christine. And shout out to Bobby Christine. She was playing Big Atraxa, and she ripped Atraxa like 7 times throughout the course of that game. And just drew an insane number of cards. And I had no choice but to kill her. We landed the aforementioned Cresting Mosasaur, which is a Cyclonic Rift kind of. That's not a Cyclonic Rift. It bounces all creatures that are not dinosaurs to their owner's hands. So when you have
it's like Kindred Dominance, but blue.
Yeah. And it is a dinosaur. It's a 4/8. It has Emerge, so you can eat Owen to make it a 4-drop instead of a 7-drop or an 8-drop. No, it's a 7-drop for the Emerge. So it's a 4-drop Emerge creature that board wipes and then gets all of Blue's counters and then can go to combat. So... Menace was the deciding factor in that game for several reasons. Trample's less important when there aren't blockers, that many blockers.
Or people are not willing to commit to the block.
Right, because that's the real thing. People don't want to commit 2 creatures in front of a 6/6 with Menace, because likely it's going to eat both of their creatures.
Yep.
You may trade with the 6/6, but you're probably going to lose 2 creatures. And when there are 5 6/6s, all with Menace... That's worse than them all having Trample. But they do also have Trample. God, I love dinosaurs so much. I think Trample is still probably the best offensive keyword you can have besides, like, I don't know, flying.
I'd argue Double Strike, but honestly, like, each of them have their situations. But, like, if you're looking for passive overtime value, like Trample and Flying.
But I think that Menace has a niche where it is the best sometimes. I think that in the unique case of, I'll say, Blue and Owen, having a bunch of dinosaurs, giving dinosaurs Menace is awful when you're on the defense. I also got to do Savage Order into an Apex Altasaur, so I got to do a double board wipe. I think it was 2 turns in a row where I bounced everything, and then Eliana recovered, as she is wont to do. And I Apex Altasword. And I Apex Altasword, and I couldn't kill all her stuff because they had weird bouts of protection. She was playing Thalia stacks / equipment. And there was a very tense turn where Eliana was tutoring through her deck with the white... Is core something where you tap and you tutor for an equipment? I don't remember what the card is.
No, you just flicker it and you search.
Stoneforge Mystic.
Yes.
Stoneforge Mystic, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Nahiri before she had a name tag.
Yeah. Before she got a cowboy hat.
Yes. Yes? No. She doesn't have a cowboy hat.
In the alternate art version that they put in Thunder Junction, yeah.
Oh. Well, how about that?
L wanted a 4 of for like legacy or what something because it's just like her fit is sick. There's not much more to be said.
All right, well then I don't have anything else to say about it. There was a very tense turn where she was trying very hard to find a way to kill me because I tapped out to kill Amara and Bobby Christine and left L within like, all right, I got one more comment and then I kill you. She had the power to put Thalia to enough commander damage with an equipment to reduce me to 20 or increase me to 20 commander damage, or was 1 mana off from killing me.
Well, if I know L, it wasn't Hero's Blade.
No, it wasn't Hero's Blade. It was a question of like Excalibur or.
Oh yeah,
else.
okay, yeah. Which is definitely much more her thing, yeah.
So that was good. That was a good time. Owen is a snack, not in a cute way, but a caloric way. And then, really quick, my other thing won't take long to go.
Yeah,
over.
go for it. Yeah,
with Medusa, and I tried to do a cute thing where I powered out a Quick Indominus. It had haste, and I did a slap, and I was like, okay, restart sequence, targeting Belladra's Witherbloom. Tybalt's trickery, no. Restart sequence didn't resolve. Responsible, very mindful, very demure. Pass to Medusa's turn.
You don't just get to say that, Light.
No,
Some
you do.
people
You
won't
do.
know what that is.
It doesn't matter.
I think you don't just get to say
I also don't understand what it's about, but
That's okay. Don't worry about it. We're not going to explain it today.
Don't worry about it, kidding.
anyway, chat,
And then-
don't worry about it.
Medusa played that one squirrel. It's a black squirrel. It's I don't remember what, something hex or whatever. It says that when it enters or attacks, exile a card from a graveyard, and your food gain all of the activated abilities from creature cards.
Yes,
So she exiled my Belladra's Witherbloom and proceeded to use food tokens to Belladra's Witherbloom 5 times over the course of the game with her Dina deck.
Hazel's Brewmaster, and also holy shit.
Yeah, no.
It was so fucking awesome.
Fuck. I mean, oh shit. Yeah, that's fucked. That's fucked up.
What do you even do? She's got the life gain. Like,
Yeah, no.
Exactly. What do you do?
Dina Soul
what I did was
Steepers-
I attacked her 4 times in a row with Indominus Rex. Is what I did.
Oh, okay,
And
well,
did
okay,
the
well, that
job.
did it.
Gosh, let's go.
She's just a 6/6, but that gets there sometimes.
So, just to kind of circle back on Menace for a quick second, I've been playing Radun Hagadoon a lot. And those
Such a fun
1/1 Menace Assassin tokens that you make off of combat is so dumb, but it's even better when you give Radun Hagadoon Double Strike because you have white and you're not a chump like Indominus Rex. But here's the other thing on top of it is that because of a few things, like obviously putting in equipment on your Menace creature, or putting out your Stonehaven Outfitter with an equipment on it. So you get your +1/+1 from the Outfitter, you get your plus whatever from your equipment. You know, you put on like a Blade of the Oni, where the creature becomes a 5/5. It already has minutes, but we'll give it more minutes, you know. And it's like, alright, here's my army out of nowhere, plus I'm gonna flicker my evasive commander, and you gotta deal with that again. And then people are just like, but I don't wanna. Stop it. You're just like... Fitz called me out. I was like, man, Radun Hagadoon's really sweet. And he's like, well, duh, of course. It's a 2024 Esper legend that focuses on like an equipment and stuff. And I'm like, okay, you didn't have to call me out like that. But I mean, like, you're right, though.
Sorry for liking good card.
The one time where I found an Esper legend that just like really does it for me. And I'm just like, it makes me, we've talked about it way more than a few times. I played so many games with it, and Quinn, like you've said, it makes me feel really smart and do some tricky shit where I'm like, all right, I can't normally do this in all of these other decks that have red and white in them, which you can kind of do, but like not quite what I'm doing with this stuff. And it's just doing the work.
The way
Menace
you be
is...
scamming and then casting removal spells and making the sacrifice an upside because you get to reset the fucking evasion and hexproof on Radun Hagadoon. It's fucked, dude.
It's been really good. People are like, but what if I kill him though? And I'm like, I mean, you can, but he's just gonna come back and like right now. And they're like, fuck, this guy's back again. Heck, you know what? You see that guy in Assassin's Creed 3 get fucking thrown around and all this other stuff. He just fucking picks himself right back up. Granted,
assassins in your area, coming now.
100%.
You turn around, you look back, he's gone like he's Batman. You're like, oh fuck. Oh, you know what? No, never mind. I'm not gonna go on that tangent. Also, some of those squirrels in Blueborough are fucked.
There are so many good squirrels now.
It's very scary. Toxrill story, Quinn?
Yeah, so I had one of the fucking games of all time on Toxrill the other day.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so we come through on Corey's stream. Everyone's playing Typal decks. I'm playing fairies. There's also rats, oozes, and otters. And I'm just, I'm keeping it extremely chill. I play a fairy, or play a sapphire medallion early, and then a fairy artisans after that on the next turn. And they do exactly what they're famous for and break me off a piece of everybody else's game plans.
Fairy artisans is pretty freaking sweet.
OMG.
So it's 3 and a blue.
Yeah.
For Fairy Artificer.
Whenever a non-token creature enters under my opponent's control, I make a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types, then exile all other tokens created with Fairy Artisans. So basically, I get to steal everybody's enter the battlefield abilities, and then I have whatever the last person to play a creature was for my turn. And I usually use that for nefarious purposes. I get a lot of things I'm not supposed to have access to. In this case, I stole an otter, the Thundertrap trainer, I think. So we got to look for, I think, like a non-creature spell from the top 4 cards of my library or something like that. It's big Augur of Bolas vibes. You remember that card. It definitely was a look at the bottom 4 cards of your library situation for me, unfortunately. But it's fine because I didn't pay for that. Like, I borrowed somebody else's.
Well, you put the top 4 cards in the bottom. You're like, cool, I don't need that.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, whatever. I also borrowed the Kodama of the free permanents for a turn. And
East Tree, I think?
I don't care.
East and West are the ones
yeah, I'm like, honestly, I could interchange them. They still both do fucking nutty shit.
Yeah, and Dimir mages are not supposed to have access to that. So I'm like, I've got a kindred discovery out naming fairies by that point. So not only am I being an annoying little shit who's untouchable behind my wall of shitty token bodies, I'm also drawing cards and putting in these free permanents. I play a Necropotence that doesn't get activated once because I'm seeing enough cards it doesn't fucking matter. We get to turn 8 and opponents are like, I feel like Toxrill's about to come down. And I'm just like, I have so much worse in store for you. And of course that scares everyone. And I cast the Cone of Cold and tap and freeze all of my opponent's creatures.
Love it.
And then we go to combat. Homeboys at 24 and just did like a bunch of burn damage with this constellation of fucked up permanents with Veyran, Voice of Duality, to do the cast triggers Harmonicon thing. There's Alania, Divergent Storm, who can fork otters, instants, and sorceries. And there's Coruscation Mage, who's like a gutter snipe but an otter and has offspring.
Doesn't it have prowess? Or no, I might be thinking of a different. No, never mind. Sorry.
So he's like casting Coruscation Mage, paying for offspring, copying it with Alania, getting a bunch of fucking Coruscation Mage copies like that, and then every spell casting after that just like take 4, and it's getting spell Harmonicon with Veyran, so it turns into take 8, and we're like, all right, you've done enough. So we're sending these Fey beats at that direction. We hit them for 15, and then they show them the full extent of my nefarious plot by prowl casting Notorious Throng. That's that sorcery for the prowl cost for 7 mana. You make fairy rogues equal to the amount of damage that turn, and if the prowl cost was paid, you take an extra turn after this one. So I make 15 1/1 fairies and put the little time warp icon in the bottom left-hand corner of the arena display. And thanks to my Kindred discovery, I draw 15 cards. And in that 15, we find Beseech the Queen. So I just show the table my Beseech the Queen and be like, with this, I can go find Shadow Puppeteers. And Shadow Puppeteers is a fairy crater hoof. We've got the Time Warp icon on the bottom of the screen. Are we good to call it here? And opponents are like, yeah, we're good to call it here.
Shadow Puppeteers makes your fairies dragons, right?
Yeah, so Shadow Puppeteers is a 5 and a blue, I think, and enters the battlefield, makes 2 1/1 fairy rogues with flying, and whenever that guy, or not that guy, but whenever a creature I control with flying attacks, it sets its base power toughness to 4/4 and makes it a dragon and red in addition to its other types. Also, it has ward.
Tokens.
I want that.
We're going to combat. We're stealing the board state. Very mindful, very intentional, very demure.
Well, also very
D-I-M-I-R.
I have seen that done a little bit on the internet as of late, and I retweet it every time. It's good. It's a good bit.
Oh my god.
People be getting distracted by Toxrill in that deck, though. I put that in the command zone, and people are just fucking sweating, thinking Toxrill's going to come down at some point, and I'm just like, I really don't need to do that to you. I'm going to do so much worse.
For as much shit as I give you about that card in the command zone, I really have not played against it that often, and I should really just let that happen to appreciate everything else around it.
Yeah, it just chills in the command zone, scaring people a lot of the time. I've got other fairies to cast, and I have 8 fairy commanders in the deck. It's so funny. We're really just making a conscious decision to not play those and play Toxrill instead in the command zone.
Empress Quinn is a cautionary tale about the value of playing mind control effects. Maybe you should throw in a couple.
Yeah.
I got by my own Indoraptor the other day because he got mind controlled twice in 2 turn cycles. And I had it for the first time. I had a Sheoldred's Edict. I'm like, all right, your control effect resolves. Sure, you have it forever. Pass turn, Sheoldred's Edict, put him back in my command zone. Don't touch my dinosaur.
Nice.
And then
they're like, I'm going to do it again.
I did it again. I had descent into Avernus, a turn 2 descent because I played a fucking Soul Ring. And
so what have we learned?
It powered out a 16-13 Indoraptor, and I was like, all right, pass turn. Oh no, Deanna, please, no, don't steal control. It has haste. I'm dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
What can you do?
What can you do?
I'm totally not going to do that at some point with a future deck. Hi, tiny boy. Hello. Sorry, I had to say hi to Nero.
Always play Homeward Path.
Homeward Path.
I've been sleeping on that, and maybe I need to not.
Someone did get to play that in their deck the other day, and, which is kind of leading into, the last bit that I got here for games and stuff. But I had loaned out a bunch of decks at the bachelor party thing. We had a nice dinner, and that was all fine and dandy, and then they're like, the best man was like, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to play D&D? And I'm like, no, we're not going to play D&D for one night. It's going to be awkward. Most of us know how to play, most, if not all of us know how to play Magic. He's like, I can get behind that. I'm like, okay, sick. I'm going to bring all the decks. I'm going to bring the dice. I'm going to bring the infinite tokens. We'll be set. We're good. Did not bring enough play mats, but, hey, you do what you can.
You had everything else. I think you're forgiven for not bringing enough playmats.
So I loaned out Sauron the Lidless Eye into the game that had Homeward Path. So stealing was still pretty iffy. Someone got the same person who was playing Sauron who was like, yo, you got Sauron? Give me that shit. I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a hard deck to learn when you don't really know what you're doing. But then he got to cast Breach the Multiverse. He got to cast Breach the Multiverse and just got, the sickest stuff. And then my buddy Tommy's like, Homeward Path? And they forgot about it. The beginning of the game, he plays Homeward Path, and he's like, oh, Sauron, oh no. And then he plays Breach the Multiverse, and everyone panicked and then forgot that he had Homeward Path until, the next turn, and then he's like, oh, I'm gonna board wipe so no one gets their stuff back from this Breach the Multiverse, because
yep.
harsh. It was too good. It was really too good.
It'd be like
But-
that.
A quick shout out on account of people not getting their shit back after you steal it. Emrakul the World Anew a magic card.
Yeah.
Because like it's not bad enough to steal all of one player's stuff. If you remove Emrakul, which you have to get through the protection from spells and permanents that were cast this turn part of her text
Which is
box.
such a unique protection.
If you can cartwheel through that, then all of the stuff gets sacrificed anyway.
Yeah.
It's so rude.
So
Yeah.
fucked up. I do steal people's stuff with Sauron on the little side and then sacrifice it, so...
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little gremlin.
Oh, I'm the villain when I play that deck. That was the whole point.
I've accidentally started a sub-theme of stealing things in Indominus without trying to, because I'm playing Dragon Lord Silumgar because he's a dragon and also has my favorite art of any card in Magic the Gathering. And then we're also playing Volatile Stormdrake because it's very cute to have 3 keywords on Volatile Stormdrake because protection from triggered and activated abilities are separate hexproofs.
It's the same thing with your separate tramples for, like,
That's
tramples over
very funny.
planeswalkers and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, we'll preface this that I got to hand out Sauron the Lisai, Ishin 2 Evances 1, Mr. Orpheus the Boulder, Kellen the Kid, Inquisitor Eisenhorn, Craig Boone Novak Guard, and I even got to hand out Audric Bloodcursed to Derek, who...
Does Derek see the light of Avacyn?
Oh, he sees it and loves it. He's like, oh, give me that shit. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. And he
fucking
did
go.
have...
My first pick.
He had a pretty decent start, like an okay start, and then, other shit happened, but he also was the one who played my Eisenhorn deck. He had that turn 1 Soul Ring into the Talisman of Dominance.
I swear my deck never does this.
Hi. Hello, sir. Come here. Hi. Ugh. All right. Cat. He did not get land drops past 2, so he actually used a tutor to go get... he used Tamio's Journal and sacrificed clues to go get lands. But he also had, like, 20-something clue tokens out at one point.
Damn.
And he had Cranial Plating out. And he had Whisper Silk Cloak and all this other stuff. It was like, oh my god, this is brutal. Someone board wiped him, and I don't know if he won that game or not, but it was very cool to, like, kind of just sneak over my shoulder and be like, yo, my guy, what's up? Now, on to the main issue of this night.
Is it?
Well, so we had a group of 7 people, and 5 of us were fairly educated and knowledgeable about
The
magic.
story this night, not tonight. Us recording. Sorry, I thought we were just like pivoting hard.
No.
Please continue.
Sorry, no, I would never do that. You reading the spread? You're reading the sheet. You should.
I'm sure you're wondering why I've gathered you all here tonight.
So, the 2 other people who did not know, I was like, I need you two to play with the elementary school teacher and Derek, who is a judge. And the reason I say this is because Tommy, who is the elementary school teacher of this story, is very well-mannered and is in no way condescending. He won't make it a jokey thing. He will be like, we're here to play magic, and I'm going to teach you how to play magic. And I'm like, I would rather you two deal with that than subjecting you to my buddy Chris, who we'll go into in a second here, because he is a troll. He is peak troll troglodyte bullshit. And to do this, he showed up and he's like, I am building a deck and I need help sleeving this. And I'm like, what is the commander? And he's like, Ty Joaquin from Thunder Junction. And I'm just like, God damn you. Fine.
Boros removal.
Cut these cards because they're just not they're either too high mana value or whatever. And then I leaf through the few extra cards and I'm like, you fucking dick. Fine. So, we get them all sleeved up, no problem, and we sit down with Derek's friend James, who had flown over from England to BC, Canada for this wedding. And we were like, we're now going to subject you to the 3-player game where me and Chris are playing removal.deck, because I chose to keep Chris in check while handing James the Kel and the Kid deck.
Awful.
So, lots of things died. So many things. Like,
Oh no.
I killed Chris's commander like 3 times. Was not coming back. I was like, you think you're going to be drawing cards off your removal? I don't fucking think so. Killed that. We were, eventually James was starting to pull ahead. He's like, Cole, you can't keep doing this to me. And I'm like, Chris, get fucked. Die. And eventually I was running out of cards and lost steam. And then eventually James won the game. So, James, if you hear this, I'm sorry. Chris, if you hear this, get fucked. Absolutely not. We're not dealing. I'm not sorry. Now, I did play my Sharon Luris deck. I could definitely see numerous issues, not just from a deck building standpoint, but also from a social standpoint, which is obviously the case when you're playing a deck that is focused on killing creatures. Hey, Hex is in the deck. I'm hoping to kill 6 things and maybe put up to 12 +1 counters on Shay, which didn't happen. But yeah, the main thing I did notice was that card draw is a bit of an issue. So I'm going to see if I can try to get more... I really want Lethal Scheme in that deck. It's like card... You get to see more cards. It's not card advantage in the raw sense, but like...
Yeah,
I
it's
just
card
think
selection.
it's sweet. And just to swing back to an earlier game that I had with our dear Empress Quinn here. In that particular game, I got to cast the new Sheldon Spellbook Ink Shield. And I got sick value out of it. I was like, oh yeah, I'm in this game. I got like 16 to 20 power. It was freaking awesome. Board wipe happened.
Yeah, you're like looking to win it, and then I have to fucking wipe the board with a guy who has touch and lifelink, and just
then
fuck
Quinn
everything up.
also gained over 210 or so life that game.
Yeah.
What happened to your voice just there?
Don't worry about it. It's fine. So, again, like Quinn said, you might as well keep that shit in hand, and I just can't think of a card in black that is 2 mana or less permanent that says creatures or opponents can't gain life, and I just can't think of a card off the top of my head.
That's where I come in. I'm well versed in the permanents that say your opponents can't gain life, and in your case, I would recommend the Knight from, I think, Dominaria, the most recent one, Knight of Dusk's Shadow, who says your opponents can't gain life.
exactly what I was
Okay,
She has menace,
right. All right,
and
fine. It's
she
a
has
2-drop.
fire breathing.
Yes.
She does have fire
Okay,
breathing.
all right,
So I
fine.
think you can put that in your
Good
deck.
magic
It gives
card.
you a mana sink for the late game.
It's not even fire breathing. She gets +1/+1.
Yeah, that's even better, actually.
Better
Yeah,
than fire
it is
breathing.
pretty good. And then something came up that game or for that set of games that night, because we were playing on NTG Lexicon. And the first game, someone presented a board state that we were like, cool, I'm good to scoop up. No problem.
Yeah.
And then to which
River
the
had
next...
a Last Laugh in their deck, and Brandon ended up with a Reaver Cleaver and a Toski. And for the uninitiated, Last Laugh deals 1 damage to each creature and each player for each permanent that gets put into the graveyard from the battlefield. Toski is an indestructible squirrel, so that'll never die. And the key thing about Last Laugh is you have to sacrifice it when there's no creatures on the board, which is the limit
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
effect. So Toski's holding a Reaver Cleaver, dealing combat damage every turn, making a bunch of treasures, will live through the board wipe every turn, and will wipe the board every turn, just casting fucking spells. So we're all just like,
That's a squirrel lock.
we
Yeah.
were locked out of the game, and you put this together with cards that were not entirely in your deck, so I can't really get mad at you, but also we're not super interested in playing this out. Let's move on.
Yeah, so we just skipped it up.
We picked it
However,
up to that.
the particular game following that, where Quinn gained over 200 life, Quinn was like, what do you think? And we're like, we're going to stick it out.
Yeah, for a little bit. And then after the second time that I did that, we were all like, let's move on.
We've reached the point where it's just not worth doing it. No amount of
Done enough
Voltron in the
psychic
world.
damage to everyone that we all are like, okay, we can continue grinding this out, but it will suck for all parties involved. Let's not do that to each other.
Yeah. Magic. It's awesome.
sometimes you can just do that.
Sometimes you can just surrender at any time for any reason.
Sometimes you just refuse because you just don't know when you've lost.
I recommend examining that more. There is no shame in picking it up to shortcut certain death gamers. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Examine your own personal magic heuristics and just be like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And if everyone agrees, you're like,
fact,
that's awesome.
it is, in fact, a board game.
Yeah.
It is so true. So many people forget it's a board game.
It's for fun. It's casual. We're hanging out. Who cares? If you're like, I know we will be here for another hour, let's use that hour for something else. And, like, that'll just do it. So. And I believe, unless we have something else to do, to which Benoit shares the meme of the one fear meme of me asking more.
No, I think we made it to the end of our doc. We've got a nice, tidy little 2.5 hours queued up. So I think it's a good point here to
we didn't make it to 3 hours. Yay!
Yeah, this is the part where you let the people know where you can find them online and all of that. Lyght, you want to start us off with that?
I can do that. Hello, everyone. My name has been Lyght. You can find me on the internet at ThePhiRexian, most of the places that matter, and some of them that don't. I make videos on TikTok and YouTube about decks that I like in EDH, and sometimes I write primers about them on Moxfield if I really like them. Go read my Indominus Rex primer, You Asked for More Teeth, and then leave a like and tell me what you thought about it in the comments. It will make me happy. It's funny. You'll probably enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
You will. It's a good time.
Yes. I need to go back into my Bledrick one again. Or just generalize everything. I don't know. So yeah. And you can find us... Well, you can find me at Uncommon CMDRMTG. And you can find Quinn at Girl Dick Energy. And you can find us at the Hub at HBVC_MTG on Twitter. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram now. I don't know how to do the social media stuff. Everyone's like, get the word out there. I'm like, fine, I'll put it on Instagram. I'm seeing names I have never seen before show up, so maybe there's something there. Who knows?
Yeah. I guess that's it for us, gamers. Then let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Lyght. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for coming through. It's been lit. Later, gamers.